This is the Wait For It podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wait For It podcast. I'm your co-host, Phil Barrera, aka Phil the Filipino.
And I'm your other co-host, Mr. Eric Almighty. And for this edition of What Did I Miss for the month of October, we're bringing back one of our favorite guests and one of our most sought-after guests ever. Way better than that guy from the Short Box podcast.
I agree. That guy just caused nothing but problems. He's ruining surprises. We don't have our Patreon, our gift box yet. So let's introduce his other half. We're going to introduce both of our guests here. But we do have a first timer on What Did I Miss? And, you know, Eric, as we have brought the series back into the rotation, it's been a lot of fun getting to hang out with our friends. So for the first time on the Wait For It podcast, we do have Blythe Milligan, who is the host of Everything is Logistics and one half of the brain behind the JPU, which has been such an amazing resource for us and many people in Jacksonville. So Blythe, thank you so much for taking the time. How are you doing tonight? And welcome in.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed that intro. I'm sure Bador will appreciate it too.
Yeah, you better listen to this. So I'm super happy to have you here. And of course, as we mentioned, and as Eric mentioned, we have a returning guest. I think this is your third time on What Did I Miss? And we were fortunate to see her back at, Ocala Comic-Con, so a couple of weeks ago. So Sophie Supninjajas. Soph, good to see you. And how are you doing here tonight? Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you so much. So happy to be here. Doing awesome. Keep doing some theme park design stuff. Keep doing some cosplay stuff. Very happy, very integrated into all the fun stuff. So yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, whenever we see Soph, Eric, it's always like a last minute thing because it's always leading into a convention, and then we see the announcement like Soup Ninjaha will be at Brick City Anime Festival. So we're expecting to see you in January, very last minute. So hopefully we will see you there. But yeah, this is What Did I Miss for anybody that is joining us. If you're brand new or if you need a little bit of a reminder, this is a very casual episode in which we talk about pop culture stories from the previous month that you may have missed out on. It's a really fun episode. And then at the end, we play a little game. And Eric, who has been pretty successful at Cahoots this year, we're going to see if our guests can knock him off his pedestal this month. But very, very excited. Eric, anything else we need to go over with our guests before I introduce some new chaos to how we decide?
Oh my God, I forgot. Well, I'm sorry in advance that you guys are going to have to go through this. Traditionally.
Or you're welcome.
Traditionally, we use a wheel to determine who goes first. There's been an occasion where we've used virtual dice to do so as well. Unfortunately, Phil got his hand on a different method. One more intense that you guys will see. And maybe, Phil, you want to explain this here?
Yeah, I got it. You can stop. So this is, I think I saw this on someone else's podcast because, of course, we just stole it from somebody else. And if you can't see, if you're listening, I very highly recommend that you go over to the YouTube page and watch the audio portion. Let me turn this music down because it's very loud. And we are going to be racing horses to see who goes first. I've actually started using this to decide where I go to dinner as well. And once again, highly recommended. Eric, what do we say this time around? Because it's not spin that wheel. So what do we do?
Can I add a gunshot to my roadcaster?
You should have done that.
I should have done that.
Already.
What does it look like when you go full screen? Oh, you got to start over.
No!
I'm so sorry. Maybe if you go back to the timer, it'll be what it was.
It's too late, Eric. Now I just have to.
Who are those people?
It's just random people they put in
here.
Oh,
okay. Well, anyway, yeah, my bad. Well, it does look nicer, but I'm excited to do this for the first time officially on What Did I Miss, and we will do this each time to determine
there's other ones.
Oh, never mind. We're gonna do this just for the first one. So many pop-ups.
It's not a great site.
We might have to start paying for this, which is gonna have to go against the budget. Phil, I don't know what to tell you. Ready, set, go.
Race those horses.
Yeehaw. Oh, yeehaw, motherfucker would be great.
Okay.
No,
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, we all have to say it at the same time. Are we still doing that?
What? Spin that wheel or
no? What are we doing?
How about race?
You should have thought of this.
How about, yeah, let's do
Race those horses?
Yeah.
Okay, so Blythe, Sophie, you're gonna have to come off of mute, and we're gonna count down. We're gonna go 3, 2, 1, and in that same cadence,
And-
you're gonna say, we're all gonna say together, race those horses.
And for audio only, I will narrate the horse race.
Yes, Phil will provide commentary. All right. I would tell you if you're ready, but I don't think any of us are. Blythe, Sophie, 3, 2, 1, race those horses.
All right, and they're off to a good start, and everybody is pretty neck and neck. Eric is out to an early lead with about 10 seconds left in the race. Eric is kind of pulling away. I think Blythe and Phil are not even in the conversation. Eric is going to run. Oh, Blythe in the last second. Oh!
I literally drank my water thinking I was good. I was like,
That was
okay, I guess I'm going
crazy.
first.
Well, I will say it's very fitting because we throw a huge derby party, a huge Kentucky Derby
Yeah, that's
party
right.
every single year. So when you brought up horse racing, I said, well, I'm sold.
There you go. Look at that. And your horse saved its energy for that last push right there to take it.
That was
Very important in horse
crazy.
racing.
Yeah, you gotta pace yourself. So that was fantastic. Yeah, this is the best decision I think I've ever made on this show. So, Blythe, you are new here, and you're gonna get your first crack at it. So if you do have multiple stories, you get your pick of the litter as far as which story you would like to present. So what did we miss in October 2025?
I would say, and we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, but I feel like the perfect topic to get started with is the theme park wars. So we have those going on. We have excellent panelists to talk about this with Sophie, having that theme park experience. I grew up going to theme parks, and recently we're able to organize an entire trip with a couple different family members and get them all over to Epic Universe. And it was just very evident from going to that theme park, because right when all of the theme parks closed down in 2020, a lot of the Imagineers from Disney were laid off and let go. And during that time frame, Universal hired a lot of that creative talent in order to help them build a new theme park. And so at the same time, you have Universal building an entire new theme park, which is the first in my lifetime that I've experienced, where you kind of have that blank slate of if you were to build a theme park, what stories would you tell and how would you frame it out? Versus, you have Disney, who is essentially, I love Disney. I'm going to preface that, but you have Disney as a company that it takes them 5 or 6 years to copy paste a ride in Tron and get that constructed at Magic Kingdom. And so I think it's a really interesting display of what's going on when you have this just magical experience, for lack of a better phrase, over at a competing theme park in Epic Universe versus Disney, where the last few times that I've gone, there's a lot of maintenance issues. The pricing is it always goes up. It never goes down. There's probably like theme park etiquette for a lot of the guests that it hasn't really been the same since before 2020. And so there's a lot of things that are going on in sort of the Disney sphere that we haven't really seen from a company standpoint, especially since they're pre-Renaissance days. So like late 70s, early 80s, when they were kind of struggling as a company. And it feels like Disney is maybe in that same position now, where they're just focused on things that are going to only bring them profits, things that are more like nostalgia bait remakes. They're a lot less creatively risky. But then you have, Universal, which is kicking up the competition with an entire theme park that is just so beautifully themed from land to land. I think there's 4 or 5 key lands within Epic Universe. And Sophie, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's the Dark Universe, there's Constellation area, there's How to Train Your Dragon, there's Harry Potter, of course. And then what else am I blanking on? I'm missing something else, something
Mario.
big.
Nintendo.
Jesus, yeah, Nintendo. Which was very overstimulating as far as a theme park experience can go. But I find it really fascinating for the first time that I'm able to, as an adult, I'm able to witness how these two big companies are competing against each other. And even, seeing news stories about how Disney executives are photographed inside of Epic Universe to kind of check out the competition. I'm fascinated by all of that. So I don't really know where that leaves the discussion, but we had a pretty lengthy, talk about, different rides and different theming and lands that we really enjoyed. And I think the whole business and creative aspect of it is just something that's going to challenge Disney for the next probably 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Not only, I mean, when we talk about, like, obviously here when we're discussing theme parks, but like competition is always good. Like, it's going to, Eric, you and I are big wrestling fans, and for the longest time, WWE didn't have any competitors. And then Tony Khan strolls in with his billions of dollars and opens one up, and look where they are now. They're thriving. They're doing fantastic. So any type of competition is going to help, and like for a long time, and so if you can speak on this, if as far as where this is at now, like I think Disney was able to coast. Even though I don't go to a lot of theme parks, I watch a lot of theme park content on YouTube, because just like you, Blythe, all that stuff is very interesting to me. Like one of the most recent videos I've watched is kind of just the problem with Universal in general. I mean, they have a lot of screen rides, which people don't like, and also the entrance to Universal. In order to like revamp Universal, they're gonna have to level the whole city. And if they want to put in new rides, and like some of those new rides they've put in have been a disaster and like just have not been it. So really interested to see or to hear what you have to say about this conversation, and what you think Disney is going to be forced to do, now that Epic Universe has been this big hit. Of course, it's had its hiccups, and tragedies, as theme parks do. But like, where do you think this goes from here as far as how Disney needs to respond?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, and very well said from both of you. Great analysis of kind of the whole thing. I think it's absolutely...
She's like, you're both wrong. So
no, quite the contrary. It's always so great to hear like kind of like how that's seen, especially because I'm so in it sometimes where it's hard to see like the outside perspective. But I completely agree. And what's really interesting about Disney as a company, especially, of course, it's like one of the most like legacy holding names of all time, but especially in the theme park world, because they wrote the book, right? They invented the whole concept of a theme park from an amusement park to theme park, and I think that went unchallenged for some time. Of course, we have Universal's competition, but I think they did kind of Disney as functioning as like such a huge tourist destination, especially in the city here in Orlando. I think they just they got a little bit comfortable. And I think didn't keep pushing the innovative nature of it. Like you mentioned, they redid Tron here, which is a good ride, and it's a great thematically. I think it's a really big improvement to Tomorrowland and Magic Kingdom, but it is a copy paste from Shanghai. It's not a newly invented thing. I think the last time we did that was Guardians, which was great. But I think to your point, Epic Universe is really from the ground up. Being there, when I went there the first time, my mom, also a huge theme park person, she had her honeymoon at Epcot. I called her and I was like, I think this is what Epcot felt like in the 80s for the first time, because it's all fresh and new and interesting. And it goes beyond just IP recreation, which is a lot of what the rides are now. Is just like you mentioned, Phil, like the screen rides are like, oh, you like Transformers? Well, now you can be Transformers. And that is the ethos of Universal, was just IP recreation in their older parks. But Epic Universe is a breath of fresh air in terms of, Celestial Park it's an entirely new concept, just like Epcot was. And it seems like Disney's almost doing the inverse, where they're really relying more, like you said, on the nostalgia and the classic, the old stuff. Like, you remember these movies, right? Remember these things, but kind of being afraid to innovate in the same way that Universal has been.
Yeah, Eric, and you've obviously been to Epic, but the two of us have been to both of these parks quite a bit in the last couple of years, much to my dismay, but I go regardless. So what has been as someone who, you're in that demographic where you're going to bring your entire family and you're going to commit the time and commit the money to this. So like, based off of your experiences between going to Disney with the family and then having this new experience at Epic Universe and then tying in Universal as well, which one of those has been a more valuable experience, do you think, when you guys came away from that, those trips?
Yeah, it's tough because they both have their own perks, their own benefits For as much as Disney gets a lot of flack for like the Genie, program and all of that, it works for me. Like I set up in the beginning of the day, I pick my lightning lanes, and I kind of go where, going to Epic, it's been a minute since I've been to the Universal side of things where it's just get your fast pass, which is very, very pricey. But at the end of the day, a much simpler process, worth it. Maybe not getting into the park easier, but once you're in the park, it is much simpler from that point. And Epic Universe is also still working out a few kinks, so there might have been some hiccups here and there. But overall, I'd say like the before and after is a little bit cleaner in that aspect for Disney. The during, a little bit easier and smoother for Universal. And I think, both of them have different things that you could enjoy. It's gonna just come down to demographic for me. Like, ultimately, Universal has always seemed catered to like that older crowd. And I think Epic Universe is a nice turn, in the opposite direction. Disney hasn't really quite done everything they need to do in that area, I think. I think they are always going to try to appeal to the younger generations. Maybe some recent changes will do that, and maybe some future improvements. I mean, Disney's committed to like a whole buttload of money to improve. We'll see what that looks like in the next decade. For the short term, I think like a move like Epic Universe is a really big power play though, because I think Universal has some different appeals that Disney just isn't qualified to meet right now. And now they're trying to attack that same demographic. So it's really interesting to see like long term what's going to happen. I think it is just going to be a battle of money. And you would think that who's going to beat Disney in a battle of money, but we'll see. I would agree though, Blythe did mention this, like some maintenance stuff and things that are going on at Disney is a little disheartening. We wanted to ride the Princess Tiana ride, and we learned as we were there how many issues have been going on with that ride since it has been there. So the fact that it went down is actually not a surprise. We probably should have expected it. But again, that wasn't something we thought. When we're thinking of Disney, you're like, that's not an ongoing issue. They check their rides all the time. They're the top, tippity top. And I don't know. That is a glaring example, I think, of what Blythe was mentioning that I wanted to bring to the forefront from a personal experience. Those things didn't always used to get attached to Disney's names. And it seems like public perception, doing some research since then, it seems like it is starting to get attached, and it's starting to make a little bit of a bad rap for them.
Yeah, I don't think you can ride Haunted Mansion without it breaking down at least once. And I love Haunted Mansion.
I don't think I've ridden the Haunted Mansion without it breaking down. I'm pretty sure every time I've been stuck at the graveyard. So you're right.
Well, I will say to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying, one thing that really worries me is the and everybody talks about this, but the affordability of Disney, and how as a family we used to go all the time as kids, and as you go as children, it becomes, as an adult, it becomes nostalgic for you to go back to the parks. I worry that Disney has priced out the average family, so they're making those memories less and less, if they're making them at all. And so they're creating this like future business pipeline problem where you have these children that then turn into teenagers, then turn into adults that are not going to have that same nostalgia for going to the theme park as they did as kids, because they can never afford it. And so that's what does worry me about Disney. I mean, I'm from like sort of reading the tea leaves inside, reading between the lines, I think they've kind of just like given up to Epic Universe for the next couple of years. They're investing, in a new land in Animal Kingdom, and hopefully they're investing more back into their maintenance, which they've cut back severely on maintenance ever since they reopened after the 2020 closures. But I hope it's not too late for them. And it feels crazy even saying that about Disney. I don't know that it'll ever be too late for them, but Epic Universe is absolutely eating into some of that market share, because they've created that environment that's welcoming to all age ranges. Whereas, Disney does cater to more of a younger crowd outside of Epcot, where you can kind of, drink around the world, and that's fun from like an adult perspective. But I do think that they're facing a few different unique challenges that It's only time will tell, within 5 years what what the attendance looks like at each of those different parks.
And how often, like in our lifetime, in my lifetime, this is only the second new park that's ever opened. Like Animal Kingdom opened up it was like what 99, something like that, 2000s. So this is the first time like we've gotten a new park, like a lot of people like in our age group, and that just does not happen. People are going to flock to it, and people are going to be very excited. What I want to know, we were talking about, like, we were throwing around like Dollywood earlier on, and I just looked it up while we were talking about it because, Blythe, you were talking about pricing people out. And this is not only happening with theme parks, it's happening with sporting events. It's happening with professional wrestling, right, Eric? Like, they priced out the family, and we definitely don't want to see that happen here. Like, we have friends with kids who have never been able to take their kids to Disney because of how much it costs. What I would like to know, Soph, is like when you're, in your business, do you have the desire to see these other parks? Because we talked about Dollywood's winning awards every single year. The things that if I'm going to spend that kind of money and go to a park, I don't want to go to a park that I've already been to. I want to go to Universal Shanghai that has like the most amazing Jurassic dark ride that I've ever seen in my life. I want to go to Tokyo Disneyland that's also paired with traveling internationally. Those are the kind of experiences, like if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I would look elsewhere. So what do you think? So in your line of business, in your line of work, do you find yourself wanting to go to these other parks outside of, Disney and Universal, and feel like, man, what's like bringing people in to Dollywood? What is it about Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee that makes people want to come visit?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I mean, that's what's been so great. We mentioned it in the pre-show for a second, but that's what's been so great about working for a third party is that I get to have exposure to so many things, even beyond theme parks, and kind of more of like regional locations that cater more to the community, or regional parks even, like Dollywood, or like these Six Flags parks that they're kind of reinvigorating as well with the merger with Cedar Fair. So there's all these kinds of things that are really happening, kind of shaking up in the theme park world. And something else I wanted to mention too, to tie it back into the kind of park wars and kind of fighting for the same demographic. I don't know if you guys heard about this also, but Universal's doing a really good job at diversifying their kind of demographic and their parks as well. They opened the, it's called Halloween Horror Nights Horror Unleashed in Las Vegas. And I believe that's, of course, way more adult centric. That's a year-round horror nights, not to tease my conversation for later, but that's a year-round horror nights kind of horror attraction, if you will. And then in Frisco, Texas, they announced the Universal Kids Park, which is a park that kind of focuses more on their DreamWorks kids IPs. They just announced that recently. I think it's opening next year. But that's very interesting as well because that's basically coming for Disney's demographic, and it's geologically right between Florida and California. So there's all kinds of stuff that I think Universal is doing really well in that way too.
I'll also say this for that Frisco park, because I used to live right in that area. Like, there is a ton of space. It's about 45 minutes from the airport, and both airports, actually, there's 2 airports in Dallas. So yeah, focusing on that IP that's seeing a little bit of a renaissance, like with the popularity of How to Train Your Dragon and then whatever other, worlds they want to bring in. Super smart, man. They're coming. They're making it interesting. So, yeah, but I remember I was like, Frisco, like, that's interesting. That's where the mall I used to go to in high school is. Like, they're going to get a Universal Park, so we shall see. But yeah, a lot of very interesting conversation, and I'll send you one of these YouTube pages, Blythe, that I watch all the time about all this park stuff, because again, it is so interesting about like the layouts and how that affects just the park overall. So yeah, but great first conversation there, Blythe. Well, look, you're a pro already, killing it. Way better than Botter, right, Eric? So let's bring in the next thing here, which I found, which is Lucky Draw.
What the hell?
This, I don't think there's anything I don't know what we'd say for this one.
Okay.
Let me make sure I've removed. Okay, Blythe, screw on. Okay,
yeah. All right. So what's gonna happen? It's gonna like.
It's just gonna. It's gonna spin. Yeah, it's gonna spin kind of like a slot machine and give us a name. I wasn't confident enough to bring dice in, so.
Okay.
We're getting Lucky Draw, horses, and the wheel in a moment.
Oh, we are getting the wheel.
No, there's a good rotation.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I mean, I guess for this one, I guess for this one, there's not much to say. So why don't you draw? Oh no, I got it.
Okay.
All right, everybody, come off of mute. All right, we're gonna do 3, 2, 1, same cadence. Draw that name.
Oh, there we go. Oh, perfect. Yeah, there you go.
There we
awesome,
go.
Awesome. There you go.
That shouldn't have taken so long to figure out on my own. So, all right, guys, let's do it. 3, 2, 1.
Draw
that
name.
Oh, that worked out.
There you go.
Okay.
All right.
Oh.
There we go. Look at that. Look at the presentation. See, we're expanding.
So
We're
fancy.
upgrading.
Our
It's experimental.
horizons here. All right, cool. Well, Eric, it's back to the normal way where both of the guests go first and then we go last. Soph, what did we miss in October 2025?
Well, it's very interesting because I had two topics to choose from, and they kind of fall under an umbrella. So I think I'll mention them both since Blythe mentioned theme park stuff. I'll start there and I'll move into the second one. But yeah, I was gonna just talk honestly, super excited about Halloween Horror Nights. Because we have the frequent fear pass, we've gone a couple times, and I think my umbrella topic that I would like to discuss is kind of like the kind of modern adaptation of media, because this year at Halloween Horror Nights they had quite a few IP houses that I think were phenomenally done, notably being Fallout 76, or no, sorry, not Fallout, well, based kind of a Fallout 76, but based on Fallout the show, and then Five Nights at Freddy's, of course, which I'm a big fan of. If you guys are seeing this, I'm actually wearing the shirt from the event. But yeah, I just thought that it's super interesting to see, kind of like the demographic for that, and people showing up, coming out, dressing in cosplay, being super excited about it, the wait times being insane, and most importantly, the thematic overlay of it. And just seeing people engage with media in that way at Halloween Horror Nights. I mean, I've said it every time that I've gone, but it's almost reminiscent of like a con environment, because you have all these fans of these different medias being able to experience it in a way that is fully immersive. Just to talk about like the Five Nights house. Jim Henson did all the puppets just like they did for the Five Nights movies. It follows the story of the movie. So much time, effort. I mean, it was absolutely incredible, the amount of craftsmanship and work that went into that. And even beyond just the house itself, the haunted house itself, they actually turned one of their pizzerias into the pizzeria from Five Nights. So they actually had a themed menu. They had a very derpy looking cupcake that was based on the Cupcake character. And it was so cool to see, kind of to our point earlier about like more regional, more like community experiences like that. You don't really see a seasonal overlay done like that outside of Halloween Horror Nights. And I have so much appreciation for people's own like kind of community-based haunted houses and things like that. But to see it in this way with so much budget and backing from these awesome IPs that people really care about from video games of all things, I think that's awesome. Every year they've done any kind of house that has to do with video games or pop culture. I mean, it's the most popular house by far. So I thought that was super neat, just talking about that and kind of media adaptation, leading into the second little note I had, which actually happened today, was that they've been teasing it for a while, but you guys know I'm a big One Piece fan, and they just announced the release date for the season 2 of the One Piece live action next year in March. So very much looking forward to that. I think the first season was really great, and I know we've talked a little bit about in the past about anime adaptations to live action and how that can be pretty finicky and very difficult to do with the artist's kind of vision in mind and keeping that intact. But I think One Piece, I know I'm a little bit biased because I love the media so much, but in the same vein, watching the live action actually felt like I was watching the original anime again with the same ethos and same passion behind it. It's not perfect, because it can't be perfect because it's an anime to live action, but I am very excited to see how they handle the rest of the series, especially if the first season was kind of more of a prologue to the rest. And just hoping that it keeps up the reputation of being the best anime live action so far, in my opinion at least. So yeah, think I just wanted to talk about kind of how these medias are being adapted, and I think we're finally hit a good stride of an era where these medias are being not only respected and properly recreated and made, but also allowing people to relive their favorite shows, games, movies in a way that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah, Eric, I want to throw this to you first because I'm surprised because you have a horror kid in your household.
Yeah.
I cannot believe he hasn't has he asked to go to Halloween Horror Nights?
He kind of like, he's aware that there's a Five Nights thing there, and obviously he's pretty obsessed with it. He's more of a security breach kid. So like when he talks about Five Nights, it's mainly security breach. So he's like Sundrop and Moondrop are like his favorite characters. Like those type of, if we were going security breach, we'd probably be there. The only reason we didn't, honestly, because the Fallout stuff looks cool, the Terrifier stuff, Phil, we're obviously wrestling fans. The horror, the Wyatt Six was like just a cool concept, and it was nice to see that integrated. I think to what Sophie was saying, like the amount of media that's in there, from horror to wrestling horror, like that's just crazy. A crazy amount.
2 years ago, right? 2 years
The
ago.
Last of Us 2 years ago. Yeah. So like, I think it's a great event. You did mention though, one of the things that I'm probably not going to spend my money because is the wait times. And we talked about Epic Universe in the pre-show a little bit, and obviously a little bit here on this episode. The wait times for that are kind of expected because it's new. Where like Halloween Horror Nights, it seems like this is the complaint every year. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but like that's whenever I consider going, the years I consider going, the thing I start hearing as the precursor is better get that fast pass, and even then, long wait times. And it's really the only reason I haven't spent the money. I kind of made a decision like around the time I was going to Epic Universe in the summer, I started to get the idea of what Halloween Horror Night might look like, and I was like, I'm gonna probably have to pick one. And the one that I picked was Epic Universe. So I had a really good time, family of 3 going to make a vacation out of it. I would love to go, but I just don't know for the money and for the amount of time you're having to wait for essentially a limited time event. I don't know if it's necessarily worth it. But man, am I jealous. Like I've heard nothing but good things. The houses look really fantastic. It's an event I would definitely love to go to, but yeah, that's kind of been my biggest complaint theme park wise. And then media wise, Sophie, you've mentioned it with One Piece, like having the live action adaptation. I know Netflix in particular is really big of that. Me and Phil have debated, when that's effective and when that's not. I think, Phil, I could speak for you on your hot take of kind of like, if you don't play the video game, you don't get to experience the video game, right? Now you've turned that into books, which is crazy. But we're not going to get we're not going to get into that. Audiobooks nonetheless. But yeah, so I think that when it comes to those mediums, like we're definitely having open debates, because I think it can be effective for like maybe older properties or certain stories, where Netflix in turn will then do the kind of really messy thing, which is like K-pop Demon Hunters just came out, and there's been reports of doing a live action, which if I'm correct, I believe one of my didn't make the cut stories was that the creator doesn't really like the idea of doing a live action, and I don't blame them. One, I think it would be difficult. Two, the movie just came out this year. The year hasn't even ended. So I think there's some times in media where it can get construed and it can be objectified or overused. And then there are times where it can be really effective. And in the case of One Piece, a story about a rubber boy wanting to be king of the pirates, like it's going to have issues, but it's also going to be a really good time. So I think it can be effective when used correctly.
Yeah, Blythe, what about you? What is your relationship to like Halloween Horror Nights or just horror in general? It hasn't really, I don't think we've ever talked about anything necessarily horror related. Seems like it's not necessarily your bag, but we're all Floridians, right? So like it's always present there. It's right around the corner. You see the Instagram ads, you see the billboards. It's like right there. What do we have here in Jacksonville? Something
like 13 floors.
13th floor or something like that.
Floor.
Yeah, over in Regency, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, have you ever considered going to a Halloween Horror Nights, or have you ever been?
And if not, Blythe, what keeps you away from it? Because that's always interesting to hear, like what people's thing is.
The tears keep me away, mostly because I'm a giant like scaredy cat. I cry at just ghost stories. If I watch a story on TikTok about like Appalachian ghosts, then I will cry in my bathroom. So for Halloween Horror Nights, I did go one time years ago. I was like a teenager. So this is like, God, like 20 plus years ago. And I waited in line. Speaking of which, I waited in line for one haunted house. We were able to go to one of them, and it was a 3.5 hour long wait. And that just kind of turned me off at that point of age, but then just kind of growing up and seeing scary movies, and I wish I could. I don't know. I don't even know if I wish this, but when I saw The Grudge gave me nightmares for a couple of months, and I swore I would never watch another scary movie again. And so ever since then, if it's a scary movie or if it's a scary show, like I watch with my eyes closed and my ear, the volume is closed. I just can't do it. Even commercials on TV, which I just increasingly get scarier. And I'm like, these should be banned. I just ban them from television because I'm getting scared while doing my hair and makeup. And I don't want my peace interrupted from this. I wish I enjoyed it because from just like kind of studying like movies and the business aspect behind it, I've tried to figure out like, why are so many movies so expensive, but they also feel like they lack creativity, where the inverse is happening, I believe, from like a business perspective on the horror front, where you have I've heard of this one like movie making company that only makes horror movies. They make like 20 a year. They're very like strictly budgeted out. And if they have one that does well, then that's made their entire year, and they're able to.
I think it's Blumhouse. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It was just such an incredible story, because I'm like, that's an actual, like, you're combining business and creativity together. Like, why can't these other movie studios, sort of get it together? So, a movie by Disney doesn't cost, $500 million and then complain when it doesn't make a profit. And it's like, well, no shit. Like, it's really tough to have that many people go and see a movie nowadays. And so with all that said, I wish I respect the medium, especially after, not to bring it back to Universal again, or Epic Universe, but the Dark Universe area was really, really well done. Their Monsters Unchained ride was just on another level, and that sort of brought me back into, well, maybe I could like start watching some of these like old school horror movies. And then come to find out, there is a new Frankenstein movie, I believe, on Netflix with Oscar Isaac, and that looks really good. And so I'm like, okay, maybe I can like start dipping my toe back into these things. I'll probably still like watch it with my eyes closed and like my ears closed, but that, I'll still do it anyways.
Yeah, and I'll ask you about as far as just kind of the media representation here in a moment too, but like I want to touch on like what you're saying, because it's really, I also have never done Halloween Horror Nights. One, also I get scared when somebody enters my room and I don't hear them coming, so I'm really jumpy when it comes to that as well. But yeah, also wait times, I mean, it was really close, like when The Last of Us year, that's something I really heavily considered. It's one of my favorite franchises. And then, like Eric had mentioned, they do have a Wyatt Six house, which is dedicated to one of our favorite wrestlers, one of mine for sure. Actually, he passed away a couple of years ago, and I actually have like a remembrance tattoo of him. So like just being able to see it would have been really, really cool. But yeah, even back in like 10 years ago, right, in Eric in our 20s, it always came up like, man, we should go, and it just never happened. And now with social media, like people just highlighting the lines, I'm like, man, I just don't think I'm gonna do that. But horror is in such a healthy spot right now, and I have another website to share with you, Blythe, that actually is called like Where's the Jump, that tells you where the jump scares are coming in the film. It has made watching a lot of stuff much easier for me. I
swear to God, I thought you were gonna tell her about the kill count, and I was gonna be like,
also there is a YouTube page called Dead Meat, and we'll talk about it later.
Well, real quick, have you seen that Halloween Horror Nights? They also have like some kind of necklace that you could buy that tells like people not to scare you.
Yeah, you see, I don't want to wear the necklace.
But then they like make fun of you as you're walking through the park, like they call you Scaredy Cat, and like yes, that's me.
Yeah. I was just about to mention that. Like that's literally what I was gonna say. Of like, it's been very interesting. That's something I forgot to mention, that I've gone a few years in a row now. But like This year's been very interesting because it doesn't feel like as scary or as intense as previous years. So, you know, as we kind of touched on a little bit with Five Nights, especially it being the biggest house this year in terms of like wait time and demand, it tends to lean a little bit to a younger crowd. So I feel like they took it from like, if you will, R-rated to more PG-13 or less rated. So I will say that I didn't get too scared this year, and I thought it's a good move. Some people are not happy about that because they want to go and feel the adrenaline. I get that too. But yeah, the necklaces is a whole other thing where, again, it's interesting of how they're marketing it and how that's changed of being almost more inclusive to all age ranges as well.
Yeah, and you know, like I had mentioned earlier, Eric's son, like he loves the horror stuff and, you know, getting into it at an early age, but it is like much more mainstream than it has been. Even me, who has had trouble with horror movies in the past, I mean, I've watched more than I ever have here recently, just because, again, as a medium, and because, like you're mentioning, that's actually a good precursor to the story that I'm going to talk about. Blythe, is what they're able to do on smaller budgets and then make those films look so good. It's like, yeah, well, that should work, you know. So, and then the other part of it, Sophie, that you were mentioning, right, Eric? We have a really good example. You know, there for every Fallout 76 or for Fallout, the Fallout TV show, we have a Halo, or we have season 2 of The Last of Us, right, where it was just like not good, like, man. And that's frustrating because like The Last of Us can go a route of of Fallout. There's a whole world out there outside of Joel and Ellie that you could have explored, and they decided not to do that. And listen, Pedro Pascal in season 1, excellent, right? Like really, really good. Well, season 1's great, but season 2, I don't ever want to acknowledge that exists. So we're in strange places. Like, yeah, I don't want to see a K-pop Demon Hunters live action. Blythe, I know you mentioned earlier How to Train Your Dragon. Eric really loved that live action. I did not. So, but also the animated is like one of my favorite films of all time. So I have a different relationship than you and Eric have with that. So it's good because One Piece has gotten really good, but then again, Cowboy Bebop, right? Canceled after 1 season, even though people enjoyed that to a degree. So it's in a weird place, but it does seem like for some of these projects, the right people are in charge. Like this has come up, right, Eric? We got like God of War coming down the pipeline. You know, we have all these other shows that they're going to try and bring to life. And it is, I think, a good thing if in the right people's hands, but like it's tricky, man.
Yeah, I will say that the one like caveat to all this is like I'm on board with it, but if they fuck up the BioShock adaptation, that's it for me. Yeah, there's like no way to mess it up, and well, there is a way, and it can be done, but yeah, I'm pretty disappointed in
Scarlett Johansson.
Listen, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that right now. Just because
Mother
she came in,
Mother Gothel, Scarlett Johansson.
Just because she keeps ruining your favorite franchises, yes. That Tangled live action in early development apparently, and she's circling the role of Mother Gothel. I don't know why she gets all the roles she gets, but as far as horror goes, I do want to mention that like it's always so nice to hear like what people don't like about horror and how like accepted it is. Horror is like the only genre where you could be like, well, I don't really like this because of this reason, and horror fans are like, yeah, no, that's cool, that makes sense, that's not for you. Like Blythe, you seem like you love like the old style, like you mentioned Frankenstein. I don't know if you would have been interested in Nosferatu last year, but that might have been something that you probably would have been more interested in than what people watched. What was probably one of the biggest horror movies last year was like Terrifier or Alien, stuff like that. Like I could see you straying away from them, but some of those more classic monstery type movies would be your vibe. But it's always fun to hear that from the horror side, because again, it's the only genre I can really think of where you can actively talk about what you don't like without being told you have shit opinions, you don't know what you're talking about. Like any other genre of movies or anime or games, they'll tell you don't know what you're talking about, but horror fans are just always accepting, because there's so much under the horror umbrella that not everything can possibly be your jam unless you're completely fucked in the head.
And that's why I enjoy going to Scaradise, formerly Spookala, every year, because it's a horror-themed convention, but I just love the artwork, and the guests there have been really cool. You know, we see a lot of, there's a lot of horror-adjacent stuff, like Jurassic Park, Jurassic World is horror-adjacent, like, and that's one of my favorite franchises of all time. So, like, when it comes to some of those, whether it be anime or comic book or video game to live action adaptations, Blythe, are there any that stick out? You know, of course, like we said, talked about How to Train Your Dragon. Are there any that you would not want to see? Like, don't touch this particular thing? Because, you know, we talked about the MCU in the past, and that's basically like we don't discuss the MCU really at all anymore. You know what I mean? It's just too much. Like, is there anything out there that you would like to see adapted, or you do not want to see adapted?
Well, the one answer to this before Amazon got their greedy little hands on it was Lord of the Rings. I thought it was an abomination. And I'm not over dramatizing. Yeah, whatever. I'm not over dramatizing that. It's I don't know how the show is still continuing a budget or having budget being allocated to it, but I could really go off for a long time on just the bastardization of what they've done to one of my favorite characters of all time, and that's Galadriel, and how poorly they portrayed her. It's Tolkien in name only, and so that is one franchise that I didn't think would ever have sort of the toxicity behind it that other franchises have around them. Obviously, Star Wars has had toxic fans for, a long time, and MCU kind of has gotten a little bit there. I would argue that it's not nearly as bad as Star Wars. And I don't think Harry Potter as much, but there is, definitely like some social media drama, I guess, more around that franchise. And but Lord of the Rings was just one of just like the bastions of just culture and movies, especially that original trilogy. And when I heard that they were going to be making the series, I think Jeff Bezos' son famously told him publicly, like, do not mess this up. And they did exactly that. And it's very disheartening. It's very discouraging. I would say, though, that with your Last of Us comment, Phil, I actually really liked season 2. I'm afraid to admit it, because I know I'd never played the game, so I'm sorry about that too. I watched the show. But the first season, just entranced with it. Second season wasn't as good as the first season, but I still really enjoyed it. And I actually really like the Abby character, besides obviously what she did. Spoiler alert.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that was great. Yeah,
but the actress who plays her, I thought she did a fantastic job. And starting into season 3, I'm really looking forward to it. So I wouldn't say that there's many adaptations that I would like to be brought to live action. Not that I can think of off the top of my head, because the one that I would have really loved has already been ruined. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing with The Last of Us, like, I totally get as well. Like, if you are new to that story and what happens, then yeah, you're hooked. For me, who's someone who's played the games, and it's like, again, one of my favorite franchises, and I know I keep up with the lore and all this kind of stuff, and we know what they have changed. I think that's the biggest thing, is what they changed, and the characterization of Ellie and changing her as a character that really got to us. But it still did very well amongst and season 3 is down the pipeline, and I will be watching to see what they do, because Abby as a character is incredibly interesting, and I love Caitlin Dever, so I'll continue to watch the show for sure. For us, Eric, I mean, the typical things when it comes to, like, I know one thing right now, obviously, that's really on our mind, because it's coming down to the wire as far as My Hero Academia being wrapped up. Don't ever want to see a live action of My Hero Academia.
Boy, it's coming, buddy.
Want it. It's 100% going to happen.
After this final season
happening.
2? Yeah.
So don't want any of that. I don't want a live action Chainsaw Man. I don't want any of those things. I know, like, people were talking about like a live action Goofy movie at one point. Like, no, don't do that. I don't want that either. I don't, so no one will be able to match the aura of Powerline in live action. It's not possible.
I did think of one.
Okay.
Gargoyles. I think that would maybe be incredible.
If you make it like Penguin, like Penguin. Yeah, okay. Yeah,
the Penguin, like, HBO show, it has to be done very well, because the writing on the original show was so good. Yeah. Even as an adult, I think back of, like, I need to actually, like, rewatch this. So that one, or like Pirates of Dark Water. I don't know if y'all watched that show as well. As a kid, that was such a great cartoon. And I think that there's a lot that they could do with that in a live action format. But I would say probably Gargoyles, now that my brain is cooking.
No, that's a good choice. Eric, how about Street Sharks?
Eric, how about like the back part of my brain there, Gargoyles. That was great.
Eric, how about Street Sharks, and they all look like King Shark from the bad
no.
From the bad
no.
They all look like Killer Croc from Suicide Squad, the bad one.
No, please. Not the bad one, please.
Okay. Well, really, really good conversations, and that was a good call to mix those together, Soph, so great job. While we were discussing that, I had a little time. I found another game.
What do you mean, Phil? All right.
Dang it! I forgot that this resets. God damn it!
Well, luckily you only got 2 on there.
I'm gonna.
So
add,
is this? Can I ask
add,
you a question?
Yeah. It's
Respectfully,
just fish.
It's just fish. Okay.
Yes.
You could have just committed to the horses, but you know what?
No, it's different.
Okay.
You're gonna have to come up with what we say. Turn this down. It's really loud. God, your fish is busted, bro. I don't know. My fish is nice and pretty. Your fish. Your fish is like.
Mine looked like it OD'd. Like, why does it look like that? Okay.
Your fish is just walked out of a house at Halloween Horror Nights, and mine's walking in.
Blythe, Sophie, we're gonna need your help on this one. I'm gonna count down 3, 2, 1, and we're gonna just say, just keep swimming.
Well, there you go.
That's good. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Just keep swimming. Well, these fish are much slower than the horses. Eric Savage.
There's no way you can cover this distance, dude. No way. No way. Twice, dude.
You can't win with a face like that, man. I don't know what to tell you.
That's crazy.
All right. Well, I will go next here. Let me close these tabs. Okay, cool. So this worked out. As far as like what, again, like Blythe kind of teased it as far as like movie budgets, because this was such an interesting story that came up here this month. Eric's going to be really upset because on the surface, it's going to seem like the story is about Fast and the Furious. And that's the story that I picked. And this story interested me so much that I paid for Wall Street Journal for a month to read the entire article. Now, I'm not going to read that today because it's very long. I have bullet points about what is going on. So for those of you that know, so Fast and the Furious is my guilty pleasure movie. I know they're not good. They are entertaining. I love all the drama off screen with Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson not getting along. I eat all of it up. So at Fuel Fest recently in Los Angeles, Vin Diesel was there and he told people that the movie is going to release the final Fast and the Furious film, or the next one, is set to release April 2027. It was supposed to come out this month of this year, a while back. And they want to return the story to Los Angeles. They want to focus on street racing again. He also said they want to reunite with Paul Walker's character. That's a whole nother thing that we're not going to touch here. That's not what this conversation is about. There's a problem with him saying that the movie's coming out in April 2027. It's not been announced by Universal, and there has been no accepted script. And the reason is because Universal does not want to make this movie unless they cut about... they need to cut another $50 million from the budget. So Fast X was the most expensive film in the series. It cost $340 million to make, and it only earned $705 million. So across all 11 films, this series has grossed $7.3 billion. It's Universal's biggest franchise. But the last movie did not go very well. We've talked about, like, post-pandemic, it's hard to get families to go to movie theaters. Movies are coming out to streaming earlier than ever. And when they talk about a film that cost this much money to make, Universal is finally putting their foot down and telling Vin Diesel and the people in charge, hey, we're not going to make this movie. And I think right now the budget with the script that they have costs about $250 million. They're like, hey, you need to cut another $50 million from this budget or we are not going to make it. So we're seeing shrinking box office returns when it comes to stuff like Marvel and DC. The new Jurassic movie didn't do very good. And budget cuts mean like fewer locations, smaller roles for some stars, which is interesting because they just brought back Gal Gadot from the dead. She's a character, so they're going to have to pay her. Vin Diesel's salary alone is reportedly about $25 million per film. And then you talk about, The Rock is supposed to come back into the next movie as well. What they really relied on with these films is the overseas markets. And now China and Russia are no longer reliable moneymakers for this franchise. So when the last one came out, China didn't really flock to it. And then Russia, with everything going on over there, the movie didn't even show there. So U.S. audiences, of course, have been less interested in long-running franchises, especially those that predate Gen Z. And Universal might actually be exploring like doing a live action in the Fast universe. That would be a lot cheaper to make, or spin-off films, lower budget reboots that are going to reattract fans to come in. And Eric, I think I brought this up because of course I want to see the movie. It doesn't matter to me how much it costs to make. I want to see this thing wrap up. It ended on a big cliffhanger. It's got 1 million people in the franchise now. None of them die. They all come back from the dead. It's a mess. I love it. What's that Shane Gillis? Girls don't like it. Kind of makes me look like a bitch. I enjoy it. That's how I feel about Fast and the Furious. And I think this is a good thing because they're putting their foot down, specifically with Vin Diesel, whose ego has, for some reason, just become overinflated. You can make an argument he has not made a good movie since Chronicles of Riddick, and Fast 7. So I think this is a good thing. So like I wanted to bring this to the table as far as like these franchises, like with Marvel. DC seems to be on a good track. Like we loved Superman. I'm excited for superhero movies again. So I think this is a good thing. What do you think about Universal? I'll throw it to you first, Eric, telling Vin Diesel and the people in charge, we're not going to make this movie just throw money at you because you want it anymore. And I think that's an interesting discussion and thing that's happening within Hollywood.
Yeah, I think studios are starting to figure out like why people go to the movies. Like they just assume we're going to consume all the slop they want to give us and they can have their cake and eat it too. That's very much why strikes are having to happen so they don't use AI in films, right? We have our first AI actress that's out there in the universe. That's a real thing we have to deal with. And I'm sure it would be really great for studios to make up people, write up fake scripts, and for us to say, here you go, have our money. But that's not how the real world works. And I think a lot of these studios, unfortunately, are starting to figure that out, that there are ways to do this. Like we just talked about the horror genre. Horror is in the best place that it's ever been, arguably, in the past couple years, specifically the last 2 to 3 have been really great for horror, and they're turning those smaller budgets and those more intimate or creative stories into dollars. I don't know where studios got off thinking they have to spend all this money. Maybe just spend a little bit more time coming up with things people actually want to watch. Again, a K-pop Demon Hunters doesn't hit because they put $100-200 million into it just to look nice. Like that movie hit for so many different reasons. Sinners, another film that came out this year, that movie was not poured into millions by the dozen. Like that's not the reason that movie hit. So I just think, again, for every big time movie that throws all that money at the budget, they're expecting unrealistic amount of money for right now economy, a lifestyle, everything that people are going through in their daily lives. People have to decide. You and me, Phil, have watched over 25 movies, I'm going to say comfortably, right? We're probably going to hit 30 or more in 2025. Just movies we've seen in the theaters, not counting the ones we've seen multiple times, right? Whether we went by ourselves or we went with a family. Most people are like seeing 5 in the movie theater, right? They're waiting for streaming. They're waiting for all these other opportunities. So if you're not one of the 5 movies this person wants to see, you're not going to get that person's ticket. And I just don't think we're in the era anymore where you can make a movie for $300 million, $200 million and expect it to hit $1 billion. I just don't think that's the case anymore. And I think, this is a good example of a studio realizing that before they make the mistake and not just saying, we got one more to go, let's throw another chunk of change at it. They spent over $1 billion on the last 3. It's not like they're not making money, but I'm sure for that type of money, they were expecting some big hitters and they just haven't been for quite a minute.
Yeah, like multiple, which is crazy, multiple Fast movies have grossed over $1 billion. And then this one, people are like, no more. Casey Snyder, who was a Universal rep, like she, the way she quoted it was when the movie came out in 2001, it was made for $40 million. Nobody knew who Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, and Jordana Brewster were, right? And she said, quote, it's about fast cars and girls in shorts. It wasn't designed to be a 25-year franchise. We should have been past Fast and the Furious a long time ago. So like, Sophie, what do you what's your relationship or any interest in the Fast franchise still? And like, what do you think again about studios putting their foot down and like reevaluating like what it is we want to see?
Yeah, no, it's such an interesting thing to talk about for what Hollywood is targeting, and it made me reflect a lot of like, what do people go to the movies for? And I was thinking about some of the bigger hits this year, and spoiler alert, I was thinking about the Minecraft movie because I think since the pandemic and post that, I think people started to value experience and like community over just the content of the movie. So movies have become this kind of like gathering space for people, very similar to a con or to a Halloween Horror Nights or to a theme park, where it's fans of the movie coming together to watch it and experience it. You know, the Minecraft movie was a big deal. Obviously, that one got a little bit out of hand. But it's a funny movie. It's not necessarily a good movie, but it's fun and it's an experience, and people want to go to experience it. Another one that I was thinking about was actually, Eric, you mentioned it, but the K-pop Demon Hunters. They brought that movie into theaters to do a sing-along, and people were craving. That's what people wanted. They love the movie. They want to see it again, but they weren't paying to watch the movie again. They were paying to sit in a theater with their peers and enjoy it with people that also enjoy it with them. So I think that's something that like streaming services can't really provide, and the movie theaters are providing. I mean, we saw it even back with Barbenheimer and the Barbie movie. Everybody got dressed up, and it just kind of became a community event. I think that that's maybe the thing that, you know, with Fast and Furious especially, I think it's a good thing in a way of not relying on just the legacy name and just making another sequel for no reason, which Disney does tend to do also. Toy Story 5 and all these other things. Not that the movies can't be good, but it's relying on making good content, not just for the experience, not just for the sake of continuing the name and the legacy.
Yeah, you made such a good point there, and Eric caught on to that too, is like we're going to the movies for experiences and for community. So the example that I thought of immediately, Eric's gonna be so mad when I bring this movie up. In 2024, I saw this movie. It's called Trap. It's fucking terrible. It's got what's his name?
Josh
Hartnett, and he just hams it up, man. He like really like dives into this character, and it's so bad. But I saw it with my brother-in-law, my sister, and my daughter, and we had a blast in the movie theater, like making fun of it and laughing. And if that movie's a 2, I gave it an extra half star just because we had a fun time in the movie theater. It is no better than a 2 because it's not a fun time. But like, yeah, people want to go see K-pop Demon Hunters in theaters. Eric, one big thing as far as us, like with movies, like, are we going to quote something forever? We're going to quote the Friendship movie the rest of our lives. And we haven't really talked to anybody else that saw that movie, but it's so good and we want to watch it again. So like, that's what people are prioritizing now. So Blythe, for you as well, you know, I know whenever it comes to like the films that you and the short box watch and you guys talk about and like just go see in your free time, we're all so busy. So like Eric makes a really good point. Like, you're prioritizing 5 or 6 movies. We're the outlier. Me and Eric are going to the movie theater 30 plus times a year. We know that that's what we are going to do. But for somebody else who just doesn't have the time, like, how are you prioritizing? Like, you're not, are you going to go see the 12th Fast and the Furious film like in 2027 if this ever comes out, or anything like that? You know, diminishing returns on Marvel, things like that. So like, what are your thoughts on this?
So I do love going to the movies, and we go, I thought it was frequent but you guys said 30 times a year, that we don't go that frequent, but I would say we probably go about half of that time throughout the year. But I think, Sophie, you hit on a really good point about the community aspect, because I think about like the Taylor Swift and Beyonce, whenever they had their tours, and then they had these these documentaries that came out, and then all of these girls are going, and women are going to these movies just so they can sing at the movie. And you saw this with Wicked too, where Wicked had different types of show times where it was like a singing encouraged and no singing encouraged for different movies. And I think that movies in general, as far as like the company like AMC and Cinemark, I do think that they need to do a better job of creating those different types of environments. And I think you see it a little bit with like the popcorn buckets or the themed drinks of whenever you're going to the movies. But Butter and I went to Austin earlier this year, and we went to this movie theater called the Alamo Draft House. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of it, but it's sort of like a for folks who are local. We had
one so bad in Jacksonville. We need one here so bad. After we lost Sunray. I love Alamo Draft House. Yeah.
So it's an incredible experience where it's highly themed throughout the entire theater. The theaters themselves are a little bit smaller. The seats are so comfortable to sit in. They have these great food that you can order from, and you have a waitress and everything, and they have these trays that you can like, just as you're laying in your seat, you can pull the tray like an inch from your face and just eat. The easiest way to eat at a movie theater. It was a really great experience, and I thought, like, why don't AMC or Cinemark do more of these types of settings, or these types of viewership parties? And I think they're trying. I just don't know that the movies are creating that level of demand outside of creating a real event. And part of that is on the people who are making the movies. I think that for a lot of movies, the writing just sucks, and they haven't prioritized the writers who are taking care of the scripts and the dialogue and the sort of ad libs that come from shooting these movies. And I think from an efficiency standpoint, Christopher Nolan, I think, gets a lot of praise for this, but he writes out every scene. He knows everything that he's going to shoot in that scene. It's a very tight budget. There's hardly any reshoots. And that's where a lot of these movies get into budgetary concerns, is because they're starting to film without a completed script. And then they have to go back a year later, whenever the movie is testing poorly, and they have to do all of these different reshoots. That's cost a lot of money to bring all of those people back in. And then you have these graphics departments that it's practically slave labor of what they're paying these poor studios in order to make them turn around these massive just demands as far as graphics are concerned. And they're having them turn it around and around and continuously building on the demands of these small to medium-sized graphic teams that these bigger companies know that they can kind of bully and kind of push around. And so it's just the whole business atmosphere. Then I was reading a Reddit thread, I think earlier this week, that was talking about sort of the shady accounting that Hollywood does, where go back to Disney, for example, where Disney will form an LLC for a new movie, and then they will rent very expensive equipment at triple the normal rate to the LLC. And so it inflates these budgets artificially, but the movie has to pay that. The LLC of the movie has to pay for that budget. And then when the movie doesn't turn a profit because they're overcharging for all of these services, what they do is they just declare bankruptcy for that movie. And then the movie loses money, and then it's a failure. And it's well, if all of these, if you prioritize the writing, if you prioritize the actual screenplay, where the directors are, going in, experienced directors, not just people you're just hiring for whatever reason, but you're hiring experienced directors that know how to run a set and know what they're shooting and know what they're looking for, then you create less amount of reshoots, and then you create a movie that can survive on a $40 million budget, which is still insane to say. But I think to go back to circle it all the way back to Fast and the Furious, they have every right. I think the studio has every right to say, you got to cut some cash off of this. The gravy train is over. Make a good movie first, and it will put butts in seats. Where you see a situation where, I think it was the Godzilla movie. I'm blanking on the official name, but it was the Godzilla movie from Godzilla Minus One, where they made that at a very affordable rate. It got such high praise that it was released to the U.S. audience. The word of mouth spread so much with that movie that they extended it in theaters several times because of the way that the audience was receptive to it. And so I think this really falls on Hollywood, where it's they have the shocked Pikachu face, who caused this? You caused this with your shady accounting, with not prioritizing writing, and then just letting inexperienced directors sort of run amok. And it's the whole business aspect of it, I think, needs to be burned down. And then I think there needs to just study what horror is doing, because that's clearly the only, I would guess, category that's working. Maybe anime as well, as I'm not familiar with their budgets, but that these are these different models where the story counts first, especially in anime, from what I know as an outsider. The story is there, and it's a really good story, so it makes it easier to make that transition into some of these other different mediums. But until they prioritize the right creative strategies that also hone in on the right business strategies, I just think that they're just going to keep floundering.
No, I mean, that's a really good call out. From the anime side of things, you have your pulse on it, even if that's not something you normally go into, because you've got to be hearing some of the stuff people are talking about. So, K-pop Demon Hunters in the animated side did really, really great. On the actual anime side, we've had so many different examples of this. The most recent two, the Demon Slayer movie, making over $600 million worldwide and having a really strong domestic opening. And then the Chainsaw Man movie just came out this weekend, and it opened #1 in the box office. And yeah, was it against weaker competition? Sure, it wasn't going against one of the top movies of the year, but the fact that it opened up at #1 is really telling for how it's going to do. Some of the success and the reception has been really strong as well. So there's definitely been a lot of examples in animation where this has happened. Phil, the example on the animation side, other than K-pop Demon Hunters, has to be Ne Zha 2, right?
Yeah.
Which is a Chinese film that you may
No
not
one's ever
know.
heard of.
This film that came out this year is number 5 all time, not animated movies, all time grossing movie. This movie made over $2 billion this year, and we loved it. It was a great time, but that's a movie that fell under the radar for a lot of people here domestically. But animation wise, again, Phil, that's a great example too.
Yeah, and just like you were talking about, Blythe, a movie that I immediately thought of that was swept under the rug. They're like, this isn't going to be any good. It's one of the better animated films that came out this year. It's The Day the Earth Blew Up. It's a Looney Tunes movie with Porky and Daffy, and it's so good. And the animation's beautiful, and it is a really fun time. And I watched it earlier in this year. I just threw it on, and I found myself really, really enjoying. Eric, I mentioned it to you. Like, I think it would be a good family movie, but that's one of those movies. And so if it seems like you know about that movie too, because it was so good. Like, and they just threw it out to die. Essentially, it was like gone, and then somebody purchased the rights to luckily distribute it.
Yeah, I couldn't hide my reaction. That is so awesome that you mentioned that, because I forgot about that. But that's a great example of a movie that had all the aspects to succeed, but it was just tucked away. Great movie. And I was going to say something interesting too, that we were kind of all touching on, but it almost harkens back to the adaptation kind of media thing that we're talking about as well. But I think in Hollywood, largely, what a lot is happening is that they're trying to make, even with theme park stuff, everything is for everyone, so it's kind of for no one. Meaning, like, when things are more catered to the fans and less distilled, I think it's actually more successful. Like the anime movies, like K-pop Demon Hunters, kind of things like that too. One other thing I was going to mention, Blythe, kind of what you talked about with Blumhouse and their model. I know I'm a big Five Nights fan, but I always think about that as an example because I think the budget for the movie was $25 million, which is like a sneeze now for movies, and it made over $250 million. So they're just swimming in profit because they just didn't have to spend that much money. It's not a terribly complicated movie, but they still had to make all the puppets. They worked with Jim there's one animatronic that had 5 puppeteers the whole time. So they're just using their money really smartly and correctly, and they're not trying to overinflate for a movie that may not make these giant, returns back, even though it did. And that comes from kind of being niche enough to stick to the fans and what they want.
Yeah, 100%. So, am I going to be left hanging thinking about this Fast and the Furious cliffhanger for the rest of my life? Who knows? It literally ends with a car driving off a cliff. Like, it's the most cliffhanger that's ever happened in film. So we'll see what happens.
It's a fitting way for that series to die, in my opinion.
It would be, honestly. It kind of would be. So we'll see what happens.
Kind of happened once if you thought about it.
What's that?
I was like, that kind of happened once if you thought about it.
That's true. But yeah, really great conversation there. So so if you're familiar with this, Blythe, you may think to yourself, well, there's only Eric left. But
nope. Nope. And this is what we traditionally do each time. We've had a lot of great synergy going on, 2 great guests, but nope, the madness still must ensue in between. Which Eric is going to be the Eric that has his story, which actually, talking about perfect synergy is great. Phil, we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. Blythe, Sophie, this time, you're going to come off mute. I'm going to count down, and we're going to just say, spin that wheel. We're going to do it in 3, 2, 1.
Spin that
wheel.
Look at that.
There we go.
Look at that.
Which one we getting?
And we are going to get... what's
close? Why is everything so dramatic tonight?
This is yellow, right? Is this yellow?
Yes, I forgot you're colorblind. You're partially colorblind.
It does kind of look green on my end.
It's just greens and yellows he's messed up on.
Okay.
Phil, what do you think I'm wearing right now?
Bright yellow.
Okay.
It's not that kind of green.
Okay.
All right, Eric, what did we miss in October 2025?
Yeah, so we talked about synergy with our guests, but the synergy we have is in our stories. Phil, this might be the most crisp transition of crazy. 4 stories.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty crazy because Blythe brought up Cinemark specifically, and we've been talking about the movie experience. I want to continue that conversation with the fact that IMAX and Cinemark are teaming up again for more IMAX films. This partnership is going to continue, and they have expanded that partnership into a new 17 theater deal. They unveiled this on Monday. Under the agreement, there are going to be 4 new IMAX systems with lasers being added in the US, something in South America being actively explored, but additionally, 12 systems that are active already are going to be upgraded to using the bigger format in IMAX. There's a lot of talk about 70 millimeter and all of these things. I'm not going to get into the technical aspects of IMAX. I'm not going to pretend to know. But what I do know is whenever I go to see an IMAX movie, it's kind of what Sophie talked about. It's purely an experience. And it seems like audiences these days are begging for something like that. When it comes to this deal, this is coming up to the run-up of a huge slate of movies. When we're talking about the end of the year, you've got Avatar, you've got Wicked, you've got all of these big properties. Then in 2026, we're going to have a new Avengers, potentially a new Spider-Man, and specifically Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which is the first film theatrically that's going to be shot entirely in IMAX, and I will be seated. IMAX, though, it's not something you can easily get to. In fact, when they released tickets for The Odyssey a year in advance, those tickets in those limited cities where IMAX theaters are were sold out. So I don't see this being a problem that is fixed with this new deal anytime soon. But I do think in the next decade, with the audiences craving an experience, all of these things that we've already discussed in the landscape of movies, I do see more of this probably happening, where there are those premium experiences that people are willing to pay for in the movies, while your everyday average family isn't going to see these movies. There are many people that are willing to spend top dollar for those experiences. So I want to open up the conversation to everybody here to talk about, one, the IMAX experience. Have you gone to it? Is it something that you enjoy? What is your experience there? And is premium viewing at the theaters something for you? If you kind of think about theaters in the last decade, we got trays, we can sit our feet up, the seats are leather, some of these seats move with the movie. Like, what are your experiences or thoughts on that premium uptick in the movie-going experience? And Phil, I'll throw it to you first before we give it to our 2 guests on that, because I know we're very similar. Since we go to the movies very often and how we feel about it.
Yeah, so we are Cinemark people here in Jacksonville primarily because the AMC and the IMAX experience in Orange Park and Regency sucks. They have not updated the seats at the IMAX and Regency. It is still like the classic, like, foldable movie theater seat. It is insane. We saw Interstellar there recently.
We did see Interstellar. Movie was great.
Movie was outstanding. Screen looks fantastic, but we were so uncomfortable.
What was worse, the seats at the IMAX at that Regency or the seats at the Los Angeles Rams Stadium?
SoFi Stadium.
SoFi Stadium.
It's close, man. It's really close. And those were equally, like, bad experiences, but at least we didn't watch the Jaguars lose by 50 when we went to IMAX. Which
That's right. We just saw a fantastic movie.
So, yeah, and I also, funny enough, I saw Fast 9 at that IMAX theater because they were showing a preview for Jurassic World Dominion. Those all ended up being terrible experiences across the board. So, yeah, so we're Cinemark people here. I'm pretty sure Cinemark or Jacksonville Cinemark is not on that list, right, of IMAX theaters, if I had to guess. I don't think Jacksonville is going to make the cut here early on, but I will spend an extra money to go to the XD showing at Cinemark. It's something that I value. It's an experience that I value when it comes to those franchises and those movies that I really, really want to see. But yeah, as far as like an IMAX experience, like I have had that experience, but I feel like I haven't had the true one, right? Like we would have to go to an Orlando or a Tampa or something along those lines. Like our buddy Ivan down in Orlando, he has an AMC theater he goes to. That's his theater. He goes sees stuff in IMAX all the time. And we're like, well, I don't want to go to Regency or Orange Park. So I guess I'm just going to miss out on the IMAX experience. But yeah, those films specifically, like, yeah, am I frustrated and really worried about Avengers Doomsday? Yeah, but would I go see it in an IMAX theater? Absolutely. Same thing with The Odyssey. I would definitely want to go see that in how it was made to be seen. But yeah, like Blythe, you were talking about like the movie theater experience. Like it's crazy we don't have a Alamo Draft House here or a Studio Movie Grill, which is what we had in Dallas. There's also one in Orlando, and it is more of like a traditional restaurant dining experience, but in a movie theater. So it's the menu is a little bit more akin to like a nicer restaurant. So I would love to have that here. I'd pay a little extra money for that too, but it's really exciting, and obviously we want to see this expand out to more. But yeah, I'll be paying that extra money, man, if it means to getting experience as far as like how the filmmaker wanted you to see the movie. Like, yeah, I'll pay it. So
and why don't we throw it to Blythe first?
Yeah, so I would add that I don't know that I've ever truly seen an IMAX movie. Phil, you mentioned Regency AMC is my home theater. That's the theater I grew up going to. I still have a soft spot for it, even when their AC is not working properly and the ceiling is kind of falling apart. It's just
why is it sticky? Why is everything so
It's the
sticky?
theater that I grew up going to, and so when we do go see movies, that's the theater we go to, unless it's like a Tinseltown type situation. But I do agree. I think that theaters need to cater to the audiences in a little bit of a different way. And like I said, I think that they're trying with the different marketing promos, the popcorn buckets, the drinks, and sort of bringing that all full circle. But I can't help but wonder that, I don't know if any of you have been to the Sphere in Las Vegas, but that is such a unique viewing experience where you feel surrounded. So for folks who don't know, they have residency programs where, like, I think the Backstreet Boys just played there for like a month straight and had really like record numbers. Lots of artists will play there, like musical artists will play there, but they do have a daily show that runs that's like a nature type documentary, and it's incredible to see like these giant elephants and giraffes, and you literally have to look around you to feel it. You feel like you're there. You feel when the camera goes into the ocean, you feel like I held my breath for like a half second. I was like, oh wait, it's not actually real. And so when I think of what the experience of going to see that show at the Sphere, and then I think of like the Alamo Draft House, and then I saw this video just yesterday of these people that were in a bar and they were watching a game, like LSU was playing, and they had the screen make it, I don't know how they did it, but they made it so you felt like you were at the game. I was watching the video of the fans watching the game. Amazing. I thought that they were actually at the game and it was just some incredible seats that they had, but no, this was a different experience for sports fans to go and sit at the bar and get that viewer format, like you were at a real game. And so between everything that you guys are talking about, I think that there's maybe like a happy medium where you can do a little bit of like what the bar is doing with watching sports games, because sports fans, you mentioned it earlier, Phil, they're kind of getting priced out of going, families are getting priced out of going to those games. The movie theaters, the traditional experience, I think, is kind of on its last leg. And so maybe there's something that can be done with all of these newer experiences that can be like this sort of the newer movie going experience. And you can kind of pick and choose of what experience you would like to have.
Yeah, and what you're talking about, Blythe, I was actually going to bring it up as well, because there's one in Dallas and we thought about going while I was visiting last year. It's called Cosm. And it is, I'm going to share it here. So I'm trying to find a good photo of it. Let me go back to.
Is this the one that you show all the time for the wrestling stuff?
Yep. So if you guys can kind of see this
cool
picture here, so it's a huge screen and people are watching it as if they're like at the actual sporting event, and you do have to pay like I don't want to say hefty price, but it's cheaper than going to the actual game. But like experiences like this, I think are going to pop up a lot more. So I'm very excited to hopefully get one. I would assume it would probably be Orlando would be the first city to get it here in Florida. But there's a couple. I know there's a couple in Dallas. I think there's one in like California. But like, yeah, people like these experiences. Hi, Sherry. These experiences are things that people are going to start seeking out, if they can't actually go to those specific events. And the Dome, man, yeah, I mean the Sphere in Las Vegas. I've only been to Las Vegas once, had a miserable time, but I want to go to the Sphere. I want to go check out. I would have loved to check out the Backstreet Boys, but I'll go check out something else that looks really cool.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Sophie, what has your experience been? First of all, have you gone to the Sphere? Also, your movie-going experience, like what has your experience been? Have you been to IMAX? What do you think of the premium formats and some of what we've been talking about?
Yeah, so no, unfortunately, I've not been to the Sphere. I've been keeping up with all the cool stuff they put on it. It's been crazy, all the different, again, anime stuff, all kinds of collaborations going on there. I think Fortnite had something else there too, so that's been pretty interesting. But no, in terms of IMAX, I was kind of reflecting on it, much like Blythe. I can't really recall a specific, like, sensational IMAX experience to my memory if I have done it before. But I will say that something that I believe it's coming out in IMAX that I can't wait to see for next year is Project Hail Mary, which is yeah, it's a sci-fi movie based on a book by the same writer of The Martian, Andy Weir. Incredible book, amazing book. I tend to not read fiction as much as I do like nonfiction, but wow, that one had me completely engrossed. And Ryan Gosling is the lead. And the sense of humor is there. The sci-fi cool science fiction is there. I can't wait to see that one in IMAX, and I think it will be super awesome. But yeah, in terms of the premium kind of viewing experience, naturally I'm going to reflect it back to our earlier conversations where people crave experiences and kind of community in that way. But you see this increase in all spaces, not just movies, but particularly there, where people really crave like kind of an immersive experience. But not only just like, I mean, of course, like the visuals and the sound, that's the biggest thing in a theater, but I think people really want like almost more dedicated fan events. I think that might be interesting for movie theaters to lead in, of like, you know, opening night, but they might have like, I live near Winter Park here in Orlando, and we have a really nice Regal Cinemas. And for a time that I was pretty frequent at the Barbenheimer summer, I went very frequently to the movies. I had like their service that's like unlimited watches, and they would have themed drinks and snacks for the movies. And you don't really see that everywhere, but I think that stuff like that could be really great for the movies, and I would definitely pay for that. If one of my favorite, you know, movies was coming out of a franchise, or a Project Hail Mary where they had a weird alien drink, I am definitely purchasing that. Especially if it's a dedicated fan event where you can talk to other people who've read the books, or maybe people who haven't read the book but are really excited and have theories of what's going to happen next. The short of the long there is, I think, dedicated fan events or times or spaces for people to geek out a little bit more. I think people really crave that, and I would definitely pay for such thing.
I'm so excited for Project Hail Mary. Go ahead, Blythe.
I was going to say real quick, as Sophie, as you were talking, it brought me back. I don't know if y'all ever went to any of the short box viewings at Sunray when they would have like the Marvel movie and then they would do the podcast like right afterwards. I think that should be almost like, instead of like a book club, like a movie club where everybody could watch it together and then all talk about it together. I love that type of format. So more like community driven aspects.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's such a good idea. Yeah, now we'll have to drive down to Quarry in Tampa to go to their Sunray and do it there, since he likes to remind us, Eric, all the time that, you know, he's got a Sunray in Tampa. So.
Every time.
I'm surprised he didn't pop in to this recording and tell us I'm at Sunray right now.
He's probably riding a bike somewhere.
He's out riding. He's out cycling right now at the moment. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but that was all really great. I figured it would be a nice cap to the conversation. And again, it's one of those things that I know a lot of movie lovers are really wanting to see, especially those that are willing to go to a movie or two a year in that premium format. Phil, I mean, there were so many different movies that we would have loved to see in IMAX this year. Sinners, One Battle After Another. Like, there were definitely several films that we would have seen.
Sinners is re-releasing in IMAX.
I know.
But I'm not gonna go sit at the Red Regency. I'm not gonna go do it.
No.
Not doing it.
We need
I'd rather drive to Orlando to go watch it. If I really wanted to go see Sinners in theaters again, I'll just watch it at home.
Yeah, that'll probably be the plan for the Odyssey. But yeah, that was my story. And luckily, there is no wheel. There's no more horses, no more fish, no more draws. Our stories are finito. However, we are now in the section before our game.
I gotta cancel this Wall Street Journal subscription.
Stop. I can't believe you did that.
I wanted to know the story.
We want to be mindful of time, so this is our Didn't Make the Cut section, where if there's anything at all that you might have missed, you wanted to quickly throw out, we don't have to necessarily get deep into it, but we will throw them out there for our audiences if you had anything that didn't get covered in the main stories today. Phil, of course, I do a Discord roundup, but I know you may take some from there. So did you have any that you wanted to highlight before I give it to Blythe and Sophie?
No, not really. We kind of touched on the K-pop Demon Hunters thing. The creators do not want a live action, which is good. Really upset that Ubisoft canceled a post-Civil War Assassin's Creed game where a former slave hunted down Ku Klux Klan members. That would have been a really good game. And then Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 4, we're still hearing like rumblings that maybe it could happen way down the line, but there's a whole lot of politicking and stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Who knows if we'll ever see it, but those are the only other things that kind of came up over the last month.
Yeah, fair enough. Blythe, did you have any quick headlines that you wanted to throw out there for this segment?
I did. Just one quick one. It was around the topic of mystery boxes or just mystery shopping in general, and how much I think it's sort of taken over a lot of the retail experience where you're, not just like trading cards where you open those up and it's a surprise whatever's inside, but a lot of different collectibles are taking this route where you can buy a package and it's a mystery character inside. I'm also working on a story for my podcast, Everything is Logistics, where we're talking about Le Croissant, which is like I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but it's like a fancy piece of cookware that's like a generational thing. You kind of pass it down, but they've sort of really honed in on the mystery box atmosphere. So for folks who don't know, they have these shopping events where they have this excess inventory and they travel around all over North America. I think they have even some shows in Europe where you pay for a ticket to get into the building in order to buy like limited edition cookware, and it's all themed and it all looks different, and it's all sort of limited edition. And so if you pay to get inside, you also have the opportunity where I think they have up to like 100 different mystery boxes, and so you can pay the additional like $100, and these women are, and men too of course, but mostly women, they buy these mystery boxes and then they leave the store and they go out into the parking lot, and in the parking lot they're all opening up their mystery boxes to see what they got. And a lot of them are really, really good. You're getting hundreds of dollars of cooking gear in one single like mystery box. And there's all this like, additional like sort of secondary economy that's set up because people are trading in the parking lot, or people are mad because they didn't get certain things. And it sort of brings me to like a different experience. We've kind of been talking about, experiences with like going to the movies, but even like retail shopping, I think, is experiencing kind of the same thing, where you have to, like, the only retail stores that are successful right now are like a TJ Maxx or some of like the more discount stores. I'm blanking on the
Marshalls.
Marshalls,
yeah,
yes.
Ross, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so the thrill of the hunt, that's why thrift stores are also, just growing in popularity, because the thrill of the hunt, the thrill of finding something. And I think that sort of just taps into like us just as a society collectively wanting more out of things that we've been doing our whole lives. And so the novelty is kind of worn off of like going to the movies or going shopping. How can we spice it up a little bit? I think mystery boxes and like just mystery purchases in general, I think are really succeeding in that area.
Phil is the resident Pokemon card guy and Lorcana guy.
I got this out of a mystery box, is a little Dennis Nedry, and this is the one I wanted. I got it at Second and Charles, and it's after he got attacked by a Dilophosaurus. I have no idea what you're referring to, Eric. I never would commit like hundreds of dollars into cards just trying
Pulled
to
out
find
a graveyard
this is
of
all
cards.
This is
Phil,
this is all my excess.
So I know you will
occasionally
occasionally do the blind box or mystery bag thing, or mystery box thing. Is that something that you do enjoy as well, or is it just like an occasional thing where the Pokemon and the Lorcana cards, that's something you're kind of into for collecting? But is there, what are your thoughts on that?
It depends on the thing. So like this is the Jurassic, like obviously this is the one I wanted, but like I would have been happy with any of the things in Jurassic. It's not like the Labubu chase or things like that. I want to find like the Eevee ones that are out there in the wild as well, and I haven't seen any of those at conventions. So yeah, it's something like if I see something that I have to be like I would be okay with any of these things on the box because there are those stores out there. I'm surprised we haven't gotten one of the dedicated stores. We have like kind of one at the Avenues, but it's not full on mystery boxes. But it's only a matter of time before we get one here. My question is, because you're talking about Blythe, all like the kitchenware stuff, how far does this go? Like, what if is it gonna be like appliances, like, man, I really need a fridge, and you open it up and you're like, I already have a washer and dryer. Like, you just keep stacking appliances. Like, how far are we gonna go with mystery boxes?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because there was one, they've had amazing marketing from this, like social proof, because everybody is filming their reactions, filming, opening up the box. It's sort of, unboxing, but in real life, or I guess with real, everything's real, whatever. But
everything's real and nothing is real at the same time.
But there was an event that was in Cleveland, I believe. The same company, same event, and people paid about $150 for this mystery box, and they got like a butter dish, and they were ready to riot because they did not they saw all of these other cities get all of this great stuff, and then they come to Cleveland and it's just, they get nothing, and they're so bummed out. And so it created the opposite reaction to it. I just find it fascinating that there's like, just a bunch of people in a parking lot after buying cookware, and they're just ready to riot. And every other city has had great marketing, but that one city, the comments on every single like croissant, social media post after that, they had to limit the comments because people were losing their minds.
Want to know what you have to say about this here, Sophie? But Blythe, Eric, as sports fans, maybe that's what Cleveland deserves. I don't know what to tell you. So, Soph, what do you think about what do you think about the mystery box craze? Have you bought into this as far as whether it be at a convention or a mall or wherever it may be?
I have to say not really, just because I tend to
fiscally responsible. Be responsible with my money.
Well, see, I say that because I used to do a lot of like the Disney pins, like collecting back in the day, and there were so many really cute like attraction ones, and they're all good, but I have my favorites, and I think I've had a couple disappointments where it's kind of turned me off generally from taking a risk on something if I'm not like if like you said, if I wouldn't be happy with any of the options. So personally, I tend to stray away from that. However, when we talk about card games and things like that, I think, with media that I like, I just got into the One Piece card game, and as soon as, actually, our friend Kendall V, who's a cosplayer, she kind of got me into it, and I immediately was like, oh my gosh, I need to collect all my favorite characters, and there were these little, the individual card packages that are like $5-8. I'm like, that's easy. And I was like, oh, this is how it happens. Is just one more try. And you're like, oh, this is actually maybe gambling a little bit. But besides that, I think with, especially with things like aesthetically, that you're like displaying or things like that, I think I tend to stay away from trying, because I would I'll see one that I like and I'm like, I really want that one. I wish I could just buy that one.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I could have just purchased the Pokemon card that I want by now, but it's about the chase, like you said, Blythe. It's about ripping the pack and opening it up and finding the one that you want. And that's how I started too. I was like, oh, so they re-released like the original 151 Pokemon and they redid the artwork and all that stuff. They did it a couple years ago. I'm like, oh, I only want that. And then that got a little harder to find. So I was like, I don't know, I'll buy this pack too. Let's see what's in there. And now whenever I find one, I'm just like, yeah, I'm only going to pay retail for it. Then I go to a convention. I'm like, I'll pay like a little bit more for this pack because I can't find it anywhere. And here I am, Eric, in debt. So that's how that goes.
Yeah, that's how that goes. Sophie, did you have any backup stories or anything we didn't get to? Any headlines you want to quickly throw out there before I do our last call for Roundup?
Yeah, I had literally my last little bit, because I combined kind of my two ideas. The last thing I was going to mention was the existence of Tron Ares, and that whole thing, the marketing around it, the plot, primarily what I personally was going to talk about. I did not get to see the movie, but more so the, ironically, the legacy of Tron and Tron Legacy, and kind of bringing back the franchise and how we've, the direction that they're going with it. And people keep making jokes about they brought Tron back just to put it back in the cave for like 20 more years. And then, of course, to tie it back to theme park stuff, I really like Nine Inch Nails. I was really excited about that soundtrack, and they brought it into, I'm sure you guys heard about it, but they brought it into the Tron Light Cycle Run ride at Magic Kingdom. So they actually changed, Ares is all red instead of blue. So they actually changed the attraction to match that. Of course, just like with lighting and stuff, nothing crazy, but the bikes and the canopy turned red with the new soundtrack. And I thought that was really neat, especially because they had a little bit of weird marketing surrounding it at the beginning. It leans a little AI, leans a little like future techie, but maybe not in the way that we wanted to from Tron. But I think the theme park overlay was really successful and really neat. So that was just the existence of that as a chapter in the Tron book.
Yeah, unfortunately, that chapter included Jared Leto, and wherever Jared Leto goes,
we don't.
Unfortunately, probably a nice guy leading his cult in his free time. But as far as Tron goes, I did ride that at Magic Kingdom the same week I went to Epic. We had Magic Kingdom on the itinerary. A lot of fun. So I could only imagine with those changes, it's slapping even harder. But that was a great ride, and it's been a great ride. Before we do our game for What Did I Miss, I'm going to quickly run down our Discord roundup. These are stories in our pop culture news channel and our Discord if you want to join us there to continue the conversation each and every month. I'm going to throw out some headlines.
You
have one?
No, I have something to offer for this, because usually you read it off and then you say, does anybody have anything to say about these 15 stories that you just read? Yes. I know you condensed them now, so I say, how about you read off the headline of the story, and then you go to each of us and we just say one sentence about that story, even if it's like, I don't care or I have no idea.
All right. Deal.
We'll go in the same order every time. We'll go Sophie, Blythe, and then me. To keep it simple.
Great. And if you want to also go silent, that's fine, because I don't know that anybody else cares about this first story.
Okay.
So we're going to start in the gaming world. If you played the game Prototype, there is a remake, remaster that might be happening soon. I know me and Phil are big fans of the game. So Phil, one sentence, what are your thoughts?
Let's fucking go.
Okay. Blythe, Sophie, anything at all? Nope. Yeah, didn't think so. That's okay. Clair Obscura Expedition 33 is a big game that came out this year. It's getting free updates with new dungeons, enemies, bosses, and costumes. A lot of people that enjoyed the game are excited to dive into more of the world. Phil, will you be jumping into more of it since you still haven't beaten it?
My sentence is, I'll beat it eventually.
Blythe, do you have any idea what this game is? Because Bonner does.
Has he played it?
No. He got mad that we hadn't done an episode yet, so I'm assuming so.
What does the game look like? I've probably seen it.
It's French.
Oh. That doesn't explain it at all.
No, was that not a good? It
looks very Final Fantasy-esque. So, like, presentation-wise, there's big monsters.
Okay, I've probably seen it. Yeah, I think I know what game you're talking about. I probably walked by him.
There's a character in there that looks strangely like Robert Pattinson, but is not voiced by Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
It's actually Charles Cox, interestingly enough.
So Blythe said it, seen it, maybe.
There you go.
Sophie, what about you?
No, I'm not familiar with the franchise.
All right. Next one. You asked for this, Phil.
I'm loving this, honestly. I think this is great.
Next one. Microsoft recently increased the price of Xbox Game Pass up to $30 a month. If you don't know, this is essentially the Netflix of games, so you don't own any of the games, but you get to play a lot of the releases. $30 a month, though, is quite an ask. In fact, the subscription site for cancellations broke down the same day this news got announced, so people did not respond very well. I personally still have Game Pass. I do still see some value, but it is diminishing what we used to call the best deal in gaming. Phil, what are your quick thoughts?
Thanks for the reminder to cancel.
Crazy. Blythe, any thoughts on the Netflix subscription game version
this
of?
This just proves PlayStation superiority. So that I've always been a PlayStation girl for my entire life. Shout out to the PS2 that just celebrated the 25-year anniversary this week. But yeah, PlayStation superiority.
There we go. Shots fired. Sophie.
My sentence is Nintendo doomed us all.
That's right. We don't want to pay $30 a month. We want to pay $90 per game. So exciting stuff. Although I heard, some of the games were Donkey Kong this year, Game of the Year contender. Not Jurassic World Evolution 3, as Phil would say.
True. That's not true.
Talking about the PlayStation, Halo Campaign Evolved has been announced to be releasing on the PS5 in 2026. So if you ever wanted to play Halo on the PlayStation, that is coming. Phil, what does this world come to?
Yeah, never thought I'd see the day. That is what I will say. Crazy.
Blythe.
The console wars have officially ended. PlayStation 1.
That's true. That's true. Okay, Sophie.
It has never been better time to own a PS5.
There we go. Talking about PlayStation, they have quietly canceled their PlayStation The Concert 2025 tour after there have been troubles in the European tour. If you didn't know what this was, essentially, you were going to get to hear a lot of the great music from PlayStation games in concert, but that has been quietly canceled and was confirmed this month. Phil, I don't think that was ever something you were going to see. Thoughts?
Bummer, but yeah, I'm not going to. I looked into the pricing and not worth it.
Blythe, you going to concerts for games?
For PlayStation, yes. I actually looked this up whenever, because Botter and I went to New York Comic Con, and I was asking like ChatGPT, like what's some events that are going on this weekend in New York, and there was the PlayStation concert was mentioned, and then when I clicked on it to try to go and see what tickets are looking like, it was a dead link. It redirected, I think to the main PlayStation website. I was very bummed. I was like, well, I guess they just canceled the concert. But I did try to go to this actually.
That's crazy. We would have never known that, Phil. This might be a good format. Sophie.
That's kind of sucks because I actually just went to the One Piece Orchestra Symphony this Saturday, and it was an incredible experience. My fiance has not been familiar with the IP, and he was moved by like the music and the experience itself. Again, with the community and all that stuff. So I think it's always sad to miss like a community event like that, especially something like an orchestra or symphony.
Yeah, me and Phil found our way through some connections to help out the local Jacksonville community with the promotion of the Naruto Symphony, a show we have never seen, but we enjoyed the symphony quite a bit.
Also, that was like 16 sentences, Sophie. Jesus, God, like
yeah.
It was one more.
Just a run on.
There was no break. She's right.
I almost called out my commas there, but yeah.
No, you don't have to do that. No, she's right. Now, in the world of film, and this is where we'll wrap up, just a couple stories. If you're a fan of Alien, Sigourney Weaver had recently confirmed during a New York Comic-Con panel that she had a meeting about playing Ripley in one of these Alien sequels recently with either Fox or Disney. With Alien Romulus coming out, it would have been funny to see a Ripley cameo. That seems something that would happen in 2025. Nevertheless, didn't happen. Don't know if we want to see it, but Phil, we had just had Alien as our late to the party episode this month. So any thoughts on hearing that news?
Ripley comes back. You are welcome. It was us.
Blythe, did this mean anything to you?
It would, had I seen the original movie. I've never seen it. I'm sorry, but I do know that Sigourney Weaver's character is like widely regarded as like one of the best female characters of all time, and that is why I still want to see it. But sadly, I have not seen it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Sophie, thoughts?
I think that's awesome. I think that would be fantastic and kind of a love letter to the fans.
No, you're definitely right about that. Love letter to the fans. I don't know if that's going to be this next story, depending on how you feel about Johnny Depp. He is reportedly in final talks to play Ebenezer Scrooge for the Christmas Carol that Paramount Pictures is doing. This comes at the same time that Robert Eggers, the director for Nosferatu, is doing an adaptation of the same story with William Dafoe, which is going to be such a different movie. And these two movies may collide in 2026. It's going to be a big year for Depp coming back, maybe returning as Jack Sparrow, rumored. There's also another film that he's tied to. So I don't know if you have any thoughts about the return of Johnny Depp, but I threw it out here for us to quickly talk about. Phil, you go first.
Just watch Spirited on Apple TV if you want to watch a modern day Ebenezer Scrooge.
Yeah, Spirited is pretty good. Blythe.
I would absolutely see both of these movies, and I welcome the return of Johnny Depp to the movie screen.
There we go. Sophie.
I prefer the Muppets Christmas Carol over any of those.
Well, you cannot go wrong with that one. You're going with the classic. What's becoming a classic is a movie that came out this year, it seems, because a lot of people are enjoying it. It's called Weapons, and I'm solely doing this as a reminder to myself. I didn't get to see it in theaters. It's finally streaming on HBO Max. If you know about this film and you enjoyed it, say it If you don't know what this film is, that's okay too. Phil, I know you know about it. I don't think you're ever going to see it, though.
I might be able to, thanks to the jump scare website, and I know when those big jumps there's like 3 or 4 of them.
Blythe, I know for a fact this is not your jam.
Just opened up the website for it. No, absolutely not. Even just the images on the Google preview. No, I am not watching this. I am Xing out of this.
This might be one of the times, Phil, where I make the edit to someone who's not talking, because Blythe was just like, oh, God. Sophie.
I've only seen the promos, and much like Blythe, it's a little... I like my spooky, I don't like my very scary, so it's probably not for me either.
Fair enough. I don't think this movie is for anyone, so I really want to get through this as quickly as possible. Jim Carrey is in talks to lead a live-action Jetsons movie, Colin Trevorrow to direct. Who asked for this? I don't know. I'm 100% sure this is movie news that will be dead in a few years and we'll just forget it ever happened. Phil, thoughts?
Yep, you already stole it. No one wants this.
Blythe, you a Jetsons fan?
I am a Jetsons fan, and I'm also somewhat of a Jim Carrey fan, especially back in the day. But I'll wait to reserve judgment.
Yeah, you got to see that trailer first. Sophie.
I think Jim Carrey peaked at Eggman, and I thought that would be his last role that he said he would retire after. So that's interesting.
I think he said that for 3 Sonic press tours so far. So yeah, that's what he said. As far as a movie that we actually do like, me and Phil are big fans of a movie called The Mitchells vs. the Machines, and the sequel is in the works from Netflix and Sony Animation. It is a great film that's on Netflix. If you like K-pop Demon Hunters, you like the animation style, well, you might like Mitchells vs. the Machines, a little bit more of a family story there. And Phil, I know you're a big fan of it, so any thoughts about the sequel finally happening?
Yeah, a franchise that deserves a second go-around. Very excited.
Blythe, is this a movie that has entered your radar at all?
I've never heard of it. I'm sorry.
Okay, too many people haven't. Sophie, what about you?
Incredible movie. Love it. I think there's never, with all the AI development stuff, there's never been a better time for that movie to have a sequel. It's super
they're going
top.
to go so hard on AI, too. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's going to be so good. And then our final story, of course, has to be something about Star Wars. Does anybody care about this anymore? I don't think so, but I'm going to bring it up because the discovery of the unrealized Hunt for Ben Solo film has shaken up Star Wars fans over the last week. And recently, the person who had been in charge of writing that story, Steven Soderbergh, the brains behind the project, he revealed that the decision not to greenlight that completed script was a first for Disney. Typically, they don't say no to those things, and apparently they just couldn't figure out how he comes back to life in a way that makes sense. Maybe a smart call, Disney, but Adam Driver seemed interested to return. Phil, I know you don't care, so just let me move on to Blythe if you're okay with that.
Well, I was going to say, if we want Adam Driver to reprise that role, just get him back on Saturday Night Live.
Yes, that was the best version. Blythe, any thoughts about that? And we always ask, what is your relationship with Star Wars? You can extend it a sentence or two.
I would say that Star Wars is definitely one of those franchises that was in sort of the top 3 for me. It was, sort of Lord of the Rings and then Harry Potter and then Star Wars. And for a while, Star Wars and Harry Potter were kind of competing with themselves. But whatever. Star Wars is just so disappointing as with a lot of their releases outside of Andor, which I thought was one of the best TV shows I've ever seen in my life. Like I would put that probably in my top 10 of all time. But outside of Andor, I just don't think that Disney has done much that's very impressive. The Force Awakens was something that I felt that they could build on a lot, and then they just completely ruined it without having a cohesive creative team to lead that trilogy. And I think we'll forever be wondering what if, but I like Kylo Ren. I like the character. I think they could have done something special. They definitely could have brought him back, considering that they brought Palpatine back for the 17th time. But I know you said one sentence.
It would have just been like, he returned. So it would have been fine.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah, no, that was perfectly said, Blythe. Sophie, same thing. Any thoughts on this story, and what's your relationship with Star Wars? You can extend it as well.
I'm a big fan of the property and kind of like the legacy that it's had, the original trilogy, the prequels. I think in recent years, of course, shared state sentiment is just kind of quantity over quality, and I think it's just been kind of like our Fast and Furious conversation. I think Star Wars is more egregious in the way of just getting stuff out just because the name that will sell regardless of what they put out. And I think that because it's been kind of going on for so long, people are starting to push back on that, and maybe that's why there's a little bit more resistance. And hopefully, we can always hope that they will start to change that into quality over quantity.
Yeah, 100%. I think they learned that lesson between pretty much fumbling two major franchises in Marvel and Star Wars trying to do the same thing. So hopefully Disney has learned, but I don't know if they're going to make the right decision next. So maybe it's just one bad decision leading to another. As far as our Discord roundup, that is it, Phil. Which means we have to end our episode with a game that I'm very excited for us to do. So I'll let you take it over from here.
Yeah, so Blythe, Sophie, you will need your phones for this final part, as we're going to be doing a Kahoot. As I pull this up here, and I'll get the pin number for you guys to join. Can everybody see this okay? Here's the pin number up here. You can either go to this website or scan the QR code. We have Bikes, we have BM, and Soup. All right, perfect. I know who Bikes is. So Bikes. So yeah, Blythe. You know, you've mentioned multiple times throughout this episode that horror isn't necessarily your thing. It is Spooktober, so there is a specific theme to this in this Kahoot. I apologize. So
Great.
We'll
Can't
see.
wait.
We'll see how this goes. Eric, because it is spook themed, it means maybe your favorite question doesn't pop up here this month. So
Thank fucking God, dude.
So, a Kahoot. By the wait for it podcast. What did I miss? October 2025. Here we go. The first question is multiple choice. We have a quiz. Which horror franchise takes place primarily in the fictional town of Woodsboro? Is it Halloween, Scream, Nightmare on Elm Street, or Final Destination? Which horror franchise takes place primarily in the fictional town of Woodsboro? All right, 2 people got it right.
Okay.
The answer is Scream. It sounds like Eric maybe got it wrong.
That was a guess. That was a guess.
Okay.
No.
All right, there you go. All right, Blythe in the lead with 828 and Bikes at 741.
Sophie.
Soph got it wrong. Soup got it incorrect. All right, there is our scoreboard. All right, next one, I believe. Type your answer out. Which movie is this? A photo will slowly appear. Type out what movie it is on your screen, on your in your phone. What movie is this? I typically say spelling is important, but like if you can't spell this, concerns.
No.
Oh no!
Just like, who is this little man?
You got 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
I forgot.
Yeah. You probably blank this in theaters.
Probably didn't blank this in theaters.
Yeah, that's what it was.
All right, the answer is Saw. Who put?
I'm the only one?
Did you put who put Jigsaw?
Jigsaw.
No, I just needed the name of the movie, not the name of the character.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
that's
Eric
unfortunate.
moves into the lead. Soph off to a rough start, but you can make up ground here pretty easily in Kahoot. All right, next question is a slider. How many kills does Jason Voorhees have across the Friday the 13th franchise per a 2024 GameSpot article? I made it relatively easier this month, Eric. 155 and 165. You do get points for being close as well. So,
This feels right.
anywhere between 155.
Why'd you pick this picture?
Because it's the one from the article. I was like, that's my favorite. All right. The answer is 163.
Oh.
Who put 162? You should get points for that.
I think that was 2 of us, right? Just me?
Let's
It
see.
was me.
Yeah. Oh,
There you
yeah.
go.
Yeah, both of
Okay,
us.
There you
There
go.
we
go.
All right. All right.
Yeah, that was definitely.
There you go. On the board. All right. Bikes is still in the lead with 1,768. We got Blythe BM in second, and Soup is on the board with 136.
Yay!
All right, next question is just a puzzle. So you put these things in order. Put these, didn't really move that. Put these Tim Burton movies in order of their release. On the order of their release. So we have Corpse Bride, Frankenweenie, Beetlejuice, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. You do have a little bit of time to do this one because these ones are a little bit more difficult. But the 4 movies are Corpse Bride, Frankenweenie, Beetlejuice, and The Nightmare Before Christmas. What order did these release in?
no. It's the first two I'm not very
All right,
confident
two
with.
people got it right.
Damn.
Two people got it right.
It was Beetlejuice. Oh, yeah, it was
Nightmare,
Beetlejuice first.
Corpse, and then Frankenweenie. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Solid. Let's see some movement on that board. There we go. Blythe with right there on Eric's tail, and Soup now getting some points, almost to 1,000. Like I said, you can get into this. You can get back into this really quickly, especially if your opponents miss some questions. All right, next one is a pin the answer. Which of these Five Nights at Freddy's characters is named Foxy? Sorry, Blythe.
I know this one.
Now look at the context clues.
Well,
the character is named Foxy.
Wait a second.
Wait.
Oh shit, there's two. Okay. I didn't notice that. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna go with what I would just assume
Okay.
is the one you. No way you picked the other one, man. No way.
Okay. To be fair, I asked Stefan this question, and I asked him this character specifically, and that's the one that he told me was named Foxy.
Did you send him this
Yes,
image?
this exact image.
Holy shit, man.
So this one is on Stefan.
me and Zoe both look like, wait a second, there's two.
Yeah. That's my bad.
That's fine.
Who got it right? Okay, there we go. Soup is there we go. It's like from last to first.
That's
there you go. Look at that
crazy.
movement.
There we go. Just like that.
And 3 in a row.
That's all it took.
Yeah, I think you do also get extra points for getting multiple answers in a row. So there we go. All right. Next question is a quiz. According to Instacart, which candy is Florida's most uniquely popular Halloween treat? This was a 2023 study, I believe. Is it Lifesavers, Snow Caps, High Chew, or Dum Dums? Which uniquely popular Halloween treat does Florida like?
I don't like that answer. Oh.
The answer is Dum Dums.
Whoa.
I
found
almost picked High
strange.
Chews, but I'm
Yeah.
like, who's eating High Chews like that for
Right.
real? Like, you like popular?
Yeah.
Also, Snow Caps would have made you pretty mad.
It would have.
huh?
That's why I put it on here, because nobody likes snow caps. So, Jordan. So, yeah, Dum Dums is the answer, which I was very surprised
Interesting.
by. All right. Bikes moves into the lead. We are on question 6, so number 7 coming up. Here's a true or false. In 2017, Pennywise the Clown is portrayed by Tim Curry. True or false? God, what a terrifying photo. True or false? All right, that is false. Yep, that's Bill Skarsgård in 2017. All right, everybody got that right. Good job. All right, now halfway through the game, Bikes at 3481, Soup at 2800 even, and then right there with 2615 is BM. Close game. Next question, type out your answer. What Halloween movie features a talking cat named Binks? What movie features a talking cat named Binks? Got 2 answers in. We got 1 more. 15 seconds left. Who is where can you see
My answer won't fit. And it's not a movie either. Yeah, I'm just gonna.
All right, well, I think you're
I
out
can
of
spell
time.
it right.
The answer is Hocus
Yeah.
Pocus.
Oh,
That's a scary
Typing in
movie I can
Sabrina
get
the
behind.
Teenage Witch.
Stage Witch. Yeah, I was like, I'm running out of space.
Yeah.
It's also not a movie,
Nope.
but maybe there was one.
The answer is Hocus Pocus. All right, there. Look at that.
Yeah, that's out of my
Into the
element.
lead. Look at that. We got, what is this, 25, 35 points separating Bikes and BM. We got a close
Wow.
one here. All right, question number 9 coming up. We got another quiz. Who co-wrote Cabin in the Woods with Drew Goddard? Was it Joss Whedon, Quentin Tarantino, Eli Roth, or Sam Raimi? Who co-wrote my favorite
Yeah,
horror
that
movie?
didn't feel right.
Yeah, it is Joss Whedon. I put Sam Raimi in there to throw people off, so that worked. But yeah, Joss Whedon helped write Cabin in the Woods. Excellent horror film.
Then he did the Justice League.
And then, Joss Whedon things happened. So no movement on the board there. Coming down to the last few questions. Close game. Next one is another puzzle. Put these 2000s horror films in order of their U.S. release. We have Saw, Paranormal Activity, The Grudge, and The Ring. So put these in order of their U.S. release. Saw, Paranormal Activity, The Grudge, and The Ring. We got 45 seconds left. This one, again, it's a puzzle, so you give you guys a little bit more time, but you do get more points the quicker you answer. We got 1 answer in. Saw, Paranormal Activity, The Grudge, and The Ring. All right, one person got it right.
I didn't feel good
The
about
Ring, The Grudge, Saw, and A Paranormal Activity. I wish it would tell me who got. Well, I guess it does on the next screen, but I wish it would tell me here who got it right. All right, who got that right? Oh shit, Blythe moves into the lead.
that. Whoa!
With 4,248 with two questions left. What a man.
The person who didn't know what Saw was earlier all of a sudden knows the release date. Crazy.
All right, Eric, pin the answer. Which one of these Fast
No!
and Furious characters
It's
is
not
named
even
Jacob?
horror-related. No!
I lied, Eric. Which one of these Fast and Furious
I
characters?
hate this question every
is
time. I don't know these
named Jacob?
people. Who is it? Every month I forget to look up the characters. Who the fuck is Jacob?
Which one of these characters is Jacob? Come on, Eric. You know this one.
Oh, it's with a K? Hold on.
All right, nobody got it right. It's John Cena's
Damn.
character.
Is it?
John Cena
Damn.
is Jacob Toretto, of course, brother of Dominic Toretto, guys. Like, come on, like, jeez. Get it together. All right.
Jacob with a K, huh?
One more. Yeah, Jacob with a K. It's kind of fitting for this film franchise. Like, they even overthought the name Jacob.
Exactly.
Like, just spell Jacob normally, assholes. All right, one more question, guys, and it is a close race for the listening audience again. Blythe is in the lead, 4,248. Soup is at 3,682. And Bikes, 3,481. BM is holding on to that lead very, very closely. This is the last question. It is a type out your answer. I'll let you guys know that, and it is an image is going to reveal itself, and you're going to have to say what movie this is. So here we go. Blythe did not do great with Saw, so let's see how this goes. What movie is this? And an image will slowly reveal itself. Again, the quicker you answer, the more points you will receive. All right, we got one answer, two answer, 20 seconds left. This is a film. There we go. The answer is, of course, Sinners. And did everybody get that correct? Okay. Everybody got it right. It's going to come down to time as far as who is going to win this game. So let's
close.
see.
I would like to just give the precursor. I lost a few seconds because I was typing GET for get out, and that might have been a little racist, and I'm sorry. So I had to backspace.
You also didn't have to reveal that information. So.
I know, but I just felt like morally, I felt like I had to get it
You
off
didn't
my
feel
chest.
good about it. Like,
I didn't feel good about it, and it might have cost me the game. So, which is fitting.
All right, let's see it. Let's go to the scoreboard. Let's go to the podium. In third place is Bikes.
Yeah, it cost me. It cost me the
Second
game.
place is going to be Soup, which means first time
Whoa.
participant. BM Blythe wins the October horror themed Kahoot.
So, Blythe, out of curiosity, last 5 years, 2020 to now, how many horror films have you seen?
0.
Okay.
Maybe the last
Cool.
decade I've seen 0.
That's what I
Even
thought.
Sinners,
Okay.
I've heard
God.
it's such a good movie, and I will watch it because it's
Yeah,
not,
it is
I've
good.
heard it's
Sinners
not
isn't that
scary.
bad. No, there's like one jump scare, and it's not even related to the actual. It's not even a spoiler. It's like somebody pulls up a tarp and a rattlesnake like jumps out at them.
Okay.
And that's the only
I can
thing.
do that.
It's my favorite movie of the year. It's creeping into maybe one of my top 25 films of all time. I loved it
Wow.
that much. So
Yeah, it's
it's
very
very,
good.
very good. I wouldn't see it at IMAX theaters in Jacksonville, but maybe, if you want to make a trip somewhere else. So.
Not Regis.
But Eric, another very successful What Did I Miss? This was a ton of fun. Shout out to our guest. Thank you so much for joining us. We want to know what you're up to. We want you to have an opportunity to let our audience know what you're up to. So Blythe, of course, let everybody know about Everything is Logistics. And also, a big time of the year is coming up for the JPU here in December if you want to talk about that.
That's right. As you alluded to, I host a podcast called Everything is Logistics. I've been a podcaster since 2014, but this is the first sort of industry that I can kind of talk about where your favorite stuff comes from, how it gets from point A to B, and then also a bunch of interviews with a bunch of different subject matter experts. So if you work in logistics or supply chain, then that is hopefully a show that you would like to become familiar with. You can find it on all podcast players and on YouTube. And then we have the Jacksonville Podcasters United, which is a local community of audio creators here in Northeast Florida. We have a little over 500 members that are part of our community, and we host two events each year. Podcast camp, which happens over the summer. Naturally, the name kind of signifies that, but then we also host what's called a podathon. So think like radiothon, but in a podcasting environment. And so Phil and Eric are great. They've come to that event every single year, have helped us host the show. Well, Phil has come. He has the trophy in the background in order to showcase it. But you guys also do a really fantastic job. Part of the Podathon is to raise money for local charities. And so the way that we do that is we have some of the podcasters show up. And if you donate a certain amount, then Eric and Phil will both, hopefully both, will interview you. And then we get that video edited and we put it up on the JPU YouTube page in order to kind of shine a spotlight on the audio creators here in Northeast Florida. We've built a community that we feel really proud about, and it's one of the few podcasting communities in the entire country. I like to think that we were one of the first too. So it's been really a great blessing. So that's happening in early December. I'm blanking on the name, but if you look it up on Eventbrite for Jacksonville Podathon, you should be able to find it.
Awesome. And the links to all of that will, of course, be in the show notes of this episode. Soph, what are you up to that you can share? I know, again, when it comes to like your convention appearances with us, it kind of comes up last minute. So I don't know what you know as of right now. Are you going to like Hall Mat or anything like that? And also, anything you want to let people know that you have been up to?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I have my usual cosplay endeavors on my Instagram, Soup Ninjaha with an underscore. If I am guesting, I anticipate and hope to next year, especially in the spring, summertime. I will update that Instagram for sure. I have my my creative business and illustrations at stardust.creative on Instagram for those endeavors, for theme park stuff and otherwise other fun stuff. But keep looking forward to, cosplaying conventions, and this has been so much fun. So thank you guys.
Yeah, it was a blast. Always love introducing new people to each other and just nerding out, which is what this episode is all about. So thank you, Soph and Blythe. It's so good to see you guys as we wrap up 2025. If you want to keep up with everything related to both of our guests as well as the Wait For It podcast, make sure you click the show notes. You'll find our Linktree link where you can follow us over on social media. The most important places being Instagram, TikTok, our growing Discord community, over on Twitch where we stream each and every single week, and you can find a video of this podcast on YouTube as well. Like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the podcast, you can head on over to your podcast player of choice, specifically Apple Music, Spotify. Give Everything Is Logistics and the Wait For It podcast 5 stars because it is the lifeblood of podcasting, and it's very, very helpful, and we very much appreciate it. But if you find yourself wanting a little bit more from the Wait For It podcast, and also maybe having a hand in the content that we create, Eric will let you know a little bit more about that before wrapping us up.
Yeah, you can go beyond with the podcast over on Patreon, where patrons of the show, Briar, T3 Cato, Vintage Macaroni, Corey from The World Is My Burrito, Nick Casbaro, the author of the Vidalarium series, and Botter from the Shortbox podcast, are supporting us on Patreon in exchange for behind the scenes and early access to episodes like this one. We just wrapped up October, which means Patreon month has ended, but we'll be returning again next year with a couple more months on the calendar where you might be able to play a part in the episode selection process. We'd appreciate the support there, but all the free stuff that Phil mentioned that only takes your time is also much appreciated. Make sure to show that love to our guests, Blythe and Soup Ninjaha. And with that all being said, my name is Mr. Eric Almighty. That is my co-host, Phil the Filipino. And we release new episodes every Wednesday for the podcast. All you have to do is wait for it.
This is the Wait For It podcast.